What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new scenario. I've already done a few scenarios before where Goku was found by someone else and raised by that person, but it's been a while since I've done that and this is one I haven't tried before. The concept's pretty straightforward. Kakarot lands on Earth and he's found by the Red Ribbon Army. How is that going to change the story? Let's begin. What if Kakarot was found by the Red Ribbon Army? Kakarot's pod lands on Earth, and the Red Ribbon Army detects this. By pure coincidence, one of their scouts is able to find this, and immediately they're on high alert, wondering if someone's trying to attack them because it looks like some sort of new technology landed here. At first they thought it was a meteor, but then they come to see it's actually a piece of tech. Maybe it's some sort of alien tech that they could exploit. But once they find the pod, they see that there's a kid inside. Okay, well that's weird. The space pod definitely looks like something they've never seen before though. They retrieve the pod and they're about to just leave the boy behind, but they notice that he has a monkey tail on him, which isn't really too abnormal. I mean, there's a bunch of animal people on Earth, but this is different. He looks like a regular human with a tail for some reason. Plus, the fact that he's in this alien-looking space pod, that makes them wonder, is this kid an alien? Surely that's not going to be the case here, but they decide to take him, and they find out he actually is an alien. Plus, this kid has memories of who he is and where he's from. Kakarot never hits his head, so he remains as Kakarot, knowing his name and his origin. And the Red Ribbon Army sees potential in him. First of all, since he's an alien, they don't know what he's capable of. Maybe he has some sort of crazy abilities that'll help them. But on top of that, he should be easy to mold into a warrior. They could tell he seems like some type of warrior already, and once he starts actually talking with them, they learn that he's from a family of warriors. Kakarot doesn't really know much about the Saiyans. Like, he knows where he's from, but it's not like he was really awake on planet Vegeta much. Most of that time he was in an incubation chamber. Most of what he remembers is Bardock and Gine telling him to survive on Earth. But he still has that warrior instinct, and he's definitely not going to be easy for them to contain. Plus, he's pretty powerful, which they like. They do more tests on Kakarot to figure out what he's like, and a lot of this involves combat because apparently he's fit for that. They start to train him as a soldier. Already as a toddler, he's way stronger than an average human is, which is pretty crazy to them. And he's probably going to grow even further from here on out. So Kakarot is raised as a soldier essentially. They even try to give him a Red Ribbon Army uniform, but he opts to keep his Saiyan armor. A bit sentimental about his home because all he remembers is his father and mother. It's mainly just to remember his origins. And it suits him a lot better too. Eventually, Kakarot becomes really powerful. As part of the Red Ribbon Army, he does have a purpose, so he doesn't betray them or anything. He gets food, shelter, and even pay from them. Plus a bunch of training, and he's treated very well by them too. He moves up the ranks really quickly. Because of that, he remains loyal to the army. And, given the fact that he's a Saiyan warrior and he loves fighting in general, this is a great arrangement for him. But eventually he becomes too strong for the army. They really have no way to train him. Like, he trains with people like Ninja Murasaki, and he's able to contend with all of them pretty well. But they decide to kick it up a notch. They find a brand new teacher for him, hiring a mercenary that they like to use. Mercenary Tao. He's paid to train Kakarot, and of course he's a really tough teacher, but he sees the potential in this kid too. He finds it pretty interesting, wondering what heights he could truly ascend to. So, while this is all happening with Kakarot's upbringing, what happens with everybody else? Well, at some point, Bulma ventures out to find the Dragon Balls, but she's unsuccessful. The Peel-Off gang is actually the ones to get them. But before they get the final ball, the Red Ribbon Army is actually able to intervene, getting the Dragon Balls for themselves. And they do this by deploying their strongest weapon, Kakarot. The Peel-Off gang tries to fight him, but even with their giant mech, they're not able to do anything against him. Kakarot retrieves the Dragon Balls for them, and for accomplishing this mission, he gets promoted to General, the youngest person to ever get promoted to that rank. The Peel-Off gang did steal Dragon Balls from people like Roshi, and even Gohan, which was pretty tough for them to do, but they accomplished it. So none of them ever meet Kakarot, but they are pretty worried about what the Dragon Balls are being used for, so they track down the Peel-Off gang, and once they're found, they figure out the Red Ribbon Army actually got the Dragon Balls. It's too late now. Commander Red gets them, and makes a wish to Shenron. He wishes to grow a little bit taller. And for this, Staff Officer Black kills him, then taking over the army himself, now calling it the Black Ribbon Army. That was a really stupid thing to make a wish on. They're not sure when the Dragon Balls are going to be back, but they assume it's probably going to be about a year from now. It's going to be pretty tough to find them again, and maybe that time frame isn't even accurate. But they might not even need the Dragon Balls. With the power they have now, they could probably just take over Earth on their own. And under the management of Black, the army is a lot more focused. So, without Goku as a main protagonist here, we're going to need someone in his place. Who's going to be the protagonist of the story? Well, technically Kakarot still is the protagonist, but we need kind of a hero figure. And there's one very good option for us to follow. Across her journey, Bulma has met Yamcha, Chi-Chi, Ox King, and even Roshi while looking for the Dragon Balls. She wasn't able to get the Dragon Balls for herself, but she still makes all these connections, including Grandpa Gohan too, because he's obviously alive here. So Roshi's at least met her, which is nice. But he also still meets Krillin because nothing's going to affect him going to Kame House. Roshi really wants to make sure the army stop because it's clear that they're going to try and take over Earth. He's going to train Krillin as a martial artist, but lets him know he might be tasked with fighting them one day. That's not going to be his main purpose. He just wants Krillin to know that. And Krillin's perfectly fine with that. He even trains under a former student, Gohan, who's returned to Kame House a bunch, and he's grown to like Krillin too. Eventually we get to the 21st World Tournament, which Jackie Chun wins, but Krillin's actually the runner-up there. Back to the Black Ribbon Army. Amidst Kakarot's training, he eventually comes in contact with the Crane School, because Tao's brother is the one who heads it. Now, he's not going to join the Crane School or train under them or anything. This is just for a sparring match. The strongest student in the Crane School should be fighting him. So for the first time, Kakarot meets Tien, and also Chaozu. And this is still the point where Tien's an asshole, and Kakarot's probably an asshole too. So it's not like they become friends here or anything. They just have a sparring match, and while it's pretty respectful, it's not like the two of them become friends or anything. Kakarot actually beats Tien, and this makes him want to grow even stronger. And eventually he joins the 22nd World Tournament and comes in contact with Krillin there. The final match is between him and Krillin, and Tien ends up winning there, only motivating Krillin even more. But it's really interesting seeing the Turtle School. Besides Krillin, he also meets Yamcha and Roshi there too. Tien and Chaozu aren't going to turn good right away, but this is their first exposure to a different side of martial arts. Do they really want to be like Tao and that kid Kakarot? Also, something about Kakarot kind of worries them. He's an alien. What is he here for? Why'd he come to Earth in the first place? It's a little bit unnerving, especially because he doesn't really seem like a good guy. Roshi and Krillin actually don't know about Kakarot right now. There's some rumors about a really strong soldier in the Black Ribbon Army, but it's just rumors. Anyways, Krillin vows to grow even stronger, and so does Tien. Maybe their paths will cross again one day. As for Kakarot, he's continuously growing, soon enough surpassing Tao as well. He's a really amazing warrior. But one thing lurks in Kakarot's mind. When will the other Saiyans show up? He feels like they've abandoned him. Or maybe they're all just dead. He actually doesn't know what the fate of the Saiyans was. He was sent here for some reason, and he thought his parents were going to come get him. Now, he's not torn up about it. It's not like he's missing his parents or anything. It's more so the fact that he's confused. Why did no one ever come here? From what he knows, he should have a brother too. He does remember his parents talking. He doesn't have a lot of the details about it, but he remembers they were talking about some guy named Frieza, and his father thought that Frieza was going to destroy their planet or kill all the Saiyans or something. Maybe that actually happened. And he wants to find out the truth behind it one day. But for now, of course, he's on Earth. It's not like he could really go into space. He does have a space pod, but he doesn't know where to go. The Pilaf gang returns, freeing Demon King Piccolo. By now, the Black Ribbon Army has subtly taken over everything. They're more so working behind the scenes, though. They're not some overt dictatorship, it's more like an Illuminati type thing. They control a bunch of companies, and they're in the pockets of a bunch of governments, too. Covertly, the Black Ribbon Army has achieved world domination, and barely anyone even knows about it. But King Piccolo's obviously going to have something to say about that. No one actually knows that Piccolo's been freed just yet. He does want to go after the tournament contestants, but it takes a little bit longer for the Pilaf gang to get him and actually free him too. So by now, the tournament's actually done. They have a lot of the contestants on their list, so they're definitely going to go after them. But Piccolo is first focused on the Dragon Balls. He's going to go for them first, and then once he gets his youth, that's when he'll be sure to stop everybody that can get in his way. That includes any of the World Tournament contestants and the powerful Black Ribbon Army. He actually does know about Kakarot because the Pilaf gang knows about him. And that's why he's moving a lot more slowly now. He wants to be sure to get him out of the way first, and not alert anyone. Once Kakarot and the Black Ribbon Army are defeated, that's when he could play his hand. So he does this covertly. He's able to get the Dragon Balls for himself, mainly thanks to the help of his sons. Shenron summoned, Piccolo wishes for his youth, and he kills Shenron. Although, while he was pretty covert with everything, there was one person that knew King Piccolo got freed, Kami. And to try and stop him, he takes on a new student. It's Krillin. He's already gone to Korn's tower and trained under Korn himself. So Kami noticed his potential, and he wants to train him even further to fight Piccolo. They're not going to have time for a ton of training, but just enough for him to at least grow a little bit. But they need to move quickly. Piccolo has restored his youth. And once this happens, Piccolo goes to the Black Ribbon Army, decimating it completely. There's no way they could stand a chance against him. All of the soldiers are killed, and even Commander Black is killed too. Strong warriors like Blue, Tao, and even Kakarot go against him. But everyone's defeated. The last person standing is Kakarot. And at first, he does exceptionally well. Of course, the army knows that under a full moon, he could transform. And they've been able to cut off his tail to prevent that from happening. It's regrown by now. And they've been trying to recreate a way for him to transform willingly, but couldn't figure out a way. What they didn't realize is that Kakarot's space pod actually was able to create a fake moon if they needed. But Kakarot has an issue right now. He puts up a really good fight against him, but he's up against Piccolo and his sons at the same time. Had it just been Piccolo alone, he might have been able to defeat him, but this makes it a lot tougher. And mainly because Piccolo's prepared for this. He's not caught off guard by Kakarot's strength. And it's good that he picked off the strongest people one by one, especially people like Tao. Plus, amidst their battle, Piccolo decides to grow giant. This doesn't make him stronger, but Kakarot has trouble fighting a giant opponent like him. And at one point in the fight, Piccolo stomps on him, crushing Kakarot beneath his feet, breaking most of the bones on his body at once. Kakarot can no longer fight. And to finish him off, while giant, Piccolo launches a mouth beam to kill Kakarot. And just like that, the final soldier of the Black Ribbon Army falls. and now no one can stop Piccolo. His sons go after all the other strong warriors, and Piccolo even has another son, Piccolo Jr. Right now he's in an egg, and in case Piccolo ever dies, Piccolo Jr. will be born as his reincarnation, and King Piccolo is quickly able to take over the world. But Krillin is still training under Kami. He's Earth's final hope, and at some point, he's sent out to fight Piccolo. He gets some help from former enemies like Tien and Chaozu, but also of course his allies, Roshi and Yamcha. Together they're actually able to fight Piccolo's troops. They have a way to defeat him that doesn't kill Kami. Tien tries to do the Mafuba on him, but it doesn't end up working. So with no other choice, they kill Piccolo. Their combined might is able to destroy him completely. But he has a backup plan. Piccolo Jr. is born, far removed from King Piccolo or his other sons, so no one knows about it. But Kami is still alive, so they put 2 and 2 together and realize that Piccolo is still out there in some form. They're gonna have to face him again somehow. But Krillin, with training from Korrin and Kami, was able to save Earth, now recognized worldwide as a hero. The best part is, it seems like the Black Ribbon Army is dealt with too. Well, sorta. Kakarot lies in a crater for days on end, unconscious, and his life is slowly fading away. On the verge of death, a large man finds Kakarot, picking him up and bringing him to safety. Kakarot wakes up on what looks like an operating table. He's not fully healed just yet, but someone tells him to not move around too much. They're in a cave right now. Next to him is a giant guy that looks like Frankenstein, introducing himself as Android 8, and there's an old man looking over him, Dr. Gero. Kakarot looks around and he sees a bunch of blueprints and a bunch of weird technology. He also sees Tao on an operating table not too far away, but he looks to be partially robotic now. He barely survived and was turned into a cyborg, and Gero tells Kakarot that's the same thing that happened to him. He saved him and fixed him up. Kakarot is now also a cyborg, a work in progress though, and Gero also added a few upgrades. He has a reinforced body. He has a built-in way to detect other people. Of course, he even knows how to sense ki by now, but now it's essentially like he has a scouter built in his head. That's not what they call it because they don't have scouters, but it's something similar. And he also looks at his hands. There's some gems in the middle of them. He's fitted with energy absorption. He was working on an infinite energy engine, but that's not quite done yet. He could fit Kakarot with that once it's ready. He also noticed that after Kakarot healed, he seemed to grow a lot stronger. It seemed that when Saiyans are on the brink of death, they can grow a ton from this. And this is the first time it's happened with Kakarot. Gero is also working on a way to create an artificial moon, and he found Kakarot's old space pod, so maybe he'll be able to fit Kakarot with an artificial moon in his hands. Of course, you don't need tech to make an artificial moon, like Vegeta's able to do that on his own, but they don't know that. What Gero has in mind is implanting Kakarot with a projector, so he can essentially project a fake moon on command. Gero wasn't really sure what number to name him, but he doesn't go with the numbering system for Kakarot. He just calls him Cyborg Kakarot, same with Cyborg Tao. Gero thinks that working together, they'll be able to avenge the Red Ribbon Army. Kakarot doesn't know how to feel about this new cyborgization, but he feels a lot stronger. He actually is starting to like this upgrade. Gero is also working on some other projects. A bunch of his other androids are failures, but he even plans on making ones based on his dead son and his dead wife, both of whom ended up dying in the attack. But he has to work out some kinks first, so that's why he's creating other androids in the meantime. He just finished Android 12, which was kind of a failure, and now he's moving on to 13. But he's glad that these two cyborgs worked out. Tao is back, and Kakarot's back. Meanwhile, Piccolo Jr. is out there somewhere. And not just him. Far out in space, Raditz is on a mission with Vegeta and Nappa. They start to realize that, soon enough, they might need some extra manpower. And Raditz remembers, his brother is out there somewhere, isn't he? Some planet called Earth. He doesn't know too much about it, but someday they might actually need to go there and retrieve him. Following the battle with King Piccolo, Krillin trains with Kami more. He has to train in order to fight Piccolo Jr. after all, because at some point Kami does figure out why he's still alive. Piccolo did birth another son. They can't find him, but it's Kami's second half. He knows he's out there. Regardless, Krillin is going to have to face him someday. As far as they know, the Black Ribbon Army is completely gone. It looks like Piccolo completely decimated them. Tien wonders if that means Kakarot's gone too. He was a pretty powerful warrior. Same for Mercenary Tao, because apparently he was hanging around with the Red Ribbon Army even further. Tien and Chaozu have left the Crane School by now, so they haven't been in contact with Chen. Maybe he would know something about it, but they don't ask. A few years go by. The 23rd World Tournament happens, and that's where Piccolo Jr. shows himself. But Krillin's ready. It's a tough battle, but he ends up winning in the end. Not only beating Piccolo, but also becoming the World Tournament champion for the first time. It's a pretty momentous occasion for him, and a clear indicator that his training has been paying off. But Piccolo Jr. isn't killed. Krillin almost does it, thinking that this would be the logical approach, but of course it's going to kill Kami in the process, so it's not really an easy choice. He's not just a villain they can kill right off the bat. Piccolo's still going to be out there. As for Krillin, Kami offers him the position of Guardian, and Krillin actually accepts it. This will be a huge next step for him. It could be an interesting endeavor, and he's up for the challenge. Let's go over to the Black Ribbon Army, or at least what's left of it. It's just Gero, Tao, Android 8, and Kakarot. Kakarot has grown up by now. Not long after the fight with Piccolo, he hit a growth spurt. Thankfully, he doesn't have too many cybernetic parts, so Jiro didn't really need to change a lot about him, and the growth spurt didn't really affect any of his mechanical pieces. Jiro built him with growth in mind, especially because he's able to turn Great Ape. Had Jiro not foresaw that, well, Kakarot would have transformed into a Great Ape and it would have broken all the android parts. Anyways, speaking of Great Ape, Jiro has been working with reverse engineering the space pod that Kakarot came in, using the projector inside of it to make a fake moon, and installing that in Kakarot's hands. The gems he uses to absorb ki can also make a fake moon now. So, whenever he wants, he could turn Great Ape. He used this opportunity to actually tame the form. He's grown a lot stronger too, and continues training with Tao. Recovering from his fight with King Piccolo helped him grow stronger, plus getting the android parts made him grow stronger. And, obviously, he's a Saiyan, so that's gonna help too. All around, a lot of things work in his favor to make him more powerful. Following the World Tournament, Jiro figures out that Piccolo's alive because he's pretty much spying on everybody, and he saw the tournament that Piccolo was fighting there. He's doing this to gather data for his next androids. He hasn't fully started work on Android 13 yet, but that's going to be the next big project. He's going to let a supercomputer finish that. He also has another idea in mind for a bio-android named Cell, but he didn't start the project just yet. That's going to be something he starts down the line. Anyways, now knowing that Piccolo's alive, of course, he wants to go after Piccolo for revenge. Piccolo destroyed every piece of the army. Tao wants vengeance too, and so does Kakarot, of course. Kakarot feels he's more than powerful enough to defeat Piccolo now. Even if that Piccolo's stronger than the one he fought, this shouldn't be too big of an issue. Besides, it'll make for a nice challenge for him too. A few years after the World Tournament, Kakarot encounters Piccolo. They knew he was alive, but they didn't exactly know where he was, so it took him a little bit to track him down, but he found him. Piccolo is stunned to see Kakarot alive. Of course, he has the memories of King Piccolo, and he knows that he killed Kakarot, and Kakarot says he almost did, but he failed to finish the job. Not only is he alive, but he's far better than ever. That battle was one of the first challenges Kakarot ever faced. He's had challenges amongst the Red Ribbon Army, fighting various strong people there, and of course training with Tao, but that was the first real deathmatch he had. It was invigorating. It was a lot of fun. Tao's also there to watch. He'd love to take revenge himself, but Kakarot's got this. Kakarot and Piccolo begin fighting, and pretty quickly, Kakarot's able to win the fight. Unlike Krillin, he's out for the kill here, and Piccolo warns Kakarot, if he kills him, the Dragon Balls will be gone. Doesn't the Red Ribbon Army want the Dragon Balls? Piccolo wants world domination too, and of course he's gonna get that in his own way. But he knows the Red Ribbon Army, or whatever's left of it, they don't have the resources to take over the world. They're gonna need the Dragon Balls. Face it, they can't kill Piccolo, and this confuses Kakarot at first, and Piccolo explains how it works. But Kakarot says he doesn't care about any of that. He's simply looking to become the strongest uncontested, and the Red Ribbon Army is no more. The Black Ribbon Army is gone as well. It's just a few of them. He wants to do things his own way. He doesn't care about avenging the Red Ribbon Army, and maybe taking over the planet for himself could be fun. As a Saiyan, that's kind of what he's born to do after all. But also, he doesn't need the Dragon Balls. That removes the fun. And because of that, he doesn't need Piccolo either. As Piccolo lays on the ground defeated, Kakarot launches a powerful super to Danpa, finishing the job and killing Piccolo. Right now, Krillin doesn't look at it. Kami suddenly collapses, and he tells Krillin that Piccolo's been killed. They have no clue how that would have even happened. Who out there is strong enough to kill Piccolo? It's certainly not one of their friends, like, they know not to go after Piccolo. And even if anyone like Tien did, as far as Krillin knows, that shouldn't have been an easy battle. Kami's not too sure of what's happened, but all he knows is that his time is limited. He only has a few seconds left. Krillin and Mr. Popo panic, but it's too late. There's no saving Kami. He's dead now. And there's no way to bring him back, because now, there's no more Dragon Balls. Krillin needs to take initiative now. He's gonna be the next Guardian, and he wants to fix this. He has so much more to learn from Kami, and he's not gonna let him die just like that. Plus, if someone did kill Piccolo, that means there's a really powerful threat out there. And sure, it could be someone good that's going against Piccolo, because Piccolo wasn't necessarily a good guy that got killed. But more likely than not, it's probably someone else that's a threat. Krillin and Popo begin researching, trying to find out any way to bring Kami back. And maybe they'll have to look into Kami's history, which they don't know much about to begin with. Some more time passes. It's about 5 years after the World Tournament. Another space pod enters Earth's atmosphere. Kakarot sparring with Tao, as Android A and Jiro watch. And immediately, Kakarot picks up on a strong power approaching Earth. What could this possibly be? And realizing that it's something coming in a ship, it makes Kakarot wonder, have the Saiyans finally come here? He's a bit excited. This is what he's been waiting for. And sure enough, that's exactly what this is. Kakarot goes straight towards the strong power, and that strong power comes towards him. Kakarot comes face to face with a man who has similar armor to what he used to wear. He also has a tail. The man greets Kakarot, and Kakarot greets him. He introduces himself as Raditz. He's Kakarot's brother. Kakarot always knew he was out there, but he never actually got to see Raditz in person. He just knew the name, but he's glad to see him in person. Alright, well, first order of business, why didn't Kakarot destroy this planet? And Kakarot explains his story. He actually even tells Raditz that he didn't have a mission to destroy this planet. From what he knows, their father sent him here just to survive. Weird. Raditz didn't even know that. Well, it seems like that's more Bardock's problem than Kakarot's. Okay, well, at least he's grown strong, hasn't he? And Kakarot says he definitely has. This'll be a perfect opportunity to show off his strength. Raditz gets a brief rundown about what Kakarot's done here, so he knows the opponents he's fought, but he doesn't know if they're even impressive or not. The only way to see if Kakarot's strong is to fight him, and Kakarot's been waiting so long for this. The two start their battle with Tao watching on, and Jiro watching from nearby. They have a pretty explosive match. All the other warriors from around Earth can sense this. Tien and Chaozu can instantly sense it, Roshi and Yamcha feel it too, and, up on the lookout, Krillin can sense it. But Tien immediately recognizes the key that he's sensing. It's Kakarot. He's still out there. Even though he's become a cyborg, he still has a key signature. He only has some robotic parts, so he still has the natural key that a regular warrior would have. But then, there's the other key signature. It feels evil, but they don't know who it is, and it feels far stronger than anything they've ever sensed, even stronger than what Piccolo's was. Raditz's scouter has an issue picking up Kakarot's power. His power reads at 1000, which is pretty okay. It's not as high as his, but pretty close. But still, he was hoping for a little bit more. Although, Kakarot actually beats Raditz in the fight pretty easily, revealing that he's part android. Kakarot doesn't measure power with power levels. He measures it with ki. But even if Raditz knew how to sense ki, he wouldn't be able to feel Kakarot's true power. He estimates that his ki only represents a portion of his power right now. If he had to guess, he's probably more like around 4 or 5,000, which surprises Raditz. His brother has surpassed him. It's a little bit of a hit to his ego, but also he's proud to see this. Kakarot will definitely be a good addition to their team. Well, there's only one thing left to do. Leave. Surely Kakarot wants to come with him, right? And yeah, he's gonna definitely join along. But then Jiro pops out from nearby, telling Kakarot that he can't leave. They still have so much more work to do. They have to avenge the army. And Kakarot says he doesn't really care about the army. And Jiro calls him an insolent fool. He brought him back to life. Kakarot wouldn't be alive without Jiro's help. And this is how he repays him? Kakarot says he'll probably be back eventually, but he wants to do what he wants. But then Jiro makes a really big mistake. He threatens Kakarot. Kakarot finds it kind of humorous. Jiro knows how strong he is. He can't fight him. And Jiro says he doesn't need to fight him. He can control Kakarot. He wanted to implant a bomb in him, but didn't have the time. That makes Tao a little bit worried. Does he have a bomb in him? Anyways, Jiro can't blow him up or anything, but what he can do is actually shut him down. He could remotely shut down the android parts and deactivate those pieces of Kakarot. It might not fully stop him because he's not fully android, but it should be enough for him to not betray Jiro. And as Jiro's monologuing about this, he's abruptly cut off by a purple ki blast that swallows him whole. Raditz just killed him right then and there. Kakarot's a bit surprised, but then he laughs, thanking his brother for that. And then Kakarot looks over at Tao. He's not going to stop him, is he? And Tao just laughs. He doesn't care. His student has a true assassin mindset. He only ever worked with the Red Ribbon Army because they paid him, and there is no army anymore. But Kakarot, he actually did like him as a student. It makes him really proud to see how strong he's grown and how he's developed. And if Kakarot ever comes back to Earth, he expects to test his power. And Kakarot thanks him. While he has no true connections on Earth, he did feel he formed somewhat of a bond with Tao. And Raditz kind of respects this guy too. He looks freaky, but he seems just as ruthless as a Saiyan. Very well then, now it's time for them to leave. Even though Jiro's dead, he did make a supercomputer, working on his next android, number 13. But that will be his final project. Android 8 lives on, and of course, Tao lives on. Kakarot goes out into space, meeting Vegeta and Nappa for the first time. He doesn't really get along with Vegeta and Nappa at first because he is just another low-class weakling, so they kind of look down upon him. But after he proves himself in battle, they come to see that he actually might be more impressive than they thought. Going back over to Krillin now. By the time this is all happening, Krillin's actually made contact with King Kai. Seeing that the Saiyans have come to Earth and are possibly threatening it, and the fact that Kami died a few years back, he wants to help out. So Krillin's gone to King Kai's planet to train with him, and also learn more about Kami's history. He didn't really have much to work off of, but he and Popo did find Kami's old ship, and Bulma's gonna try and build a spaceship with that. They know Kami's not from this planet at least, but they don't know where he's from, and that's where King Kai comes in, telling them about Namek. There should be Dragon Balls there, and they could actually use that set of Dragon Balls to bring Kami back. So Krillin, Tien, Chaozu, Yamcha, and Bulma all go to Namek, getting the Dragon Balls there, and it's a pretty peaceful endeavor. There's no Frieza Force there because they don't even know about the Dragon Balls. Well, besides Kakarot, that is. Summoning Porunga, they're able to revive Kami. And in the meantime, they warn Namek about the Saiyans and Frieza, because now they actually know who Frieza is. After everything that happened with Kakarot, they found out that he rejoined the Saiyans, and King Kai says the few Saiyans left are working under Frieza. So that's probably where Kakarot is right now, which might be a good thing because he's not on Earth, but also, at the same time, that might put Earth on Frieza's radar. They gotta be careful. When they return to Earth, of course the witch brought Piccolo back too. So Piccolo finds them and asks why they ended up reviving him. It was simply to bring Kami back. Piccolo fights Krillin again, and Krillin wins even more quickly than before. He suggests Piccolo be an ally to them if he wants to grow. He is a really strong warrior, and Krillin does like fighting him, but isn't he kinda limiting his potential by being like this? Imagine if he was training with other strong warriors consistently. Plus, he lets Piccolo know that Kakarot is still out there, and he knows Kakarot killed Piccolo. Now, he never met this Kakarot guy himself, but Tien's told him a little bit about him. And if all they know about Kakarot's true, then Krillin and Piccolo actually have a common enemy, and he might return, so who knows what they'll be up against. Piccolo's not really too sure about this, but of course, he wants to get his revenge against Kakarot. It is an enemy of my enemy situation. Piccolo's not going to join them outright, but sure, they'll have a temporary truce for now at least. Out in space, Kakarot continues to grow rapidly with the Saiyans, at some point even surpassing Nappa. Now Vegeta's really intrigued. As a low-class warrior, he still has the same mindset that Goku does. Hard work is going to bring him what he needs. And this also rubs off on Raditz a bit, but Kakarot's developing a ton. Sure, he does have a little bit of an advantage by being an android, but at the same time, a lot of what he's accomplished by now is due to his hard work back then. The 4 Saiyans are sent on a mission at one point, on an empty planet. Frieza's aware of Kakarot by now, obviously, and his army's grown so strong by now that he doesn't really need the Saiyans anymore. They're more of a liability, if anything. So he's decided to take that thorn out of his side, especially if they're recruiting another Saiyan. Who knows what they're up to? Maybe they're trying to finally rebel against him. Either way, he's going to put a stop to it. When they arrive on this planet, a few other strong Frieza Force soldiers are there. They try and fight the Saiyans, but to no avail. So the Saiyans quickly realize that this is some sort of trap. Frieza's trying to kill them. Zarbon and Dodoria then step out, also on the planet ready to kill the Saiyans with their own bare hands. Nappa then chuckles a bit. He just realized, this planet doesn't even have a moon. That was pretty smart of them. And Zarbon and Dodoria laugh at this too. What are they going to do without their Great Ape forms? In their base, if all 4 of them fought together, they could probably fight one of them, but this duo isn't going to be stopped by some regular Saiyans. Kakarot says unluckily for them, there are no regular Saiyans. And Vegeta's about to create an artificial moon for himself, but then Kakarot sticks a hand up in the air, projecting one out of his hands. Surprising the other 3 Saiyans. They didn't know he had this trick up his sleeve. Literally. The best part is, it doesn't use any extra energy like creating a Powerball. The 4 Saiyans all transform into Great Apes, easily demolishing Zarbon and Dodoria and taking the planet for themselves. So, Frieza finally wants to kill them. It seems Kakarot has made him worried, and Vegeta says Frieza has every right to be worried. They are growing really strong. He's always wanted to topple Frieza, so he's glad Frieza's making the first move here. Who knows what waits for them ahead. The Saiyans are all on their own now, at some point finding their own planet to take over and using that as their home base. It makes Kakarot really glad that he got found. He finally gets to let loose. Be a true warrior like he was destined to be. Not to mention, he puts his assassin techniques to really good use too. They come to learn that even though he's a low-class Saiyan, as a warrior, technically he's really great. His technical skill might even be above Vegeta's. He's just all around a really great martial artist and fighter in general. Kakarot likes these 3. They're a lot like him, especially his brother. And even though they had their qualms with him at first, Vegeta and Nappa are warming up to Kakarot. Raditz pretty much liked him right off the bat. About a year passes. At some point the Ginyu Force locates them. Frieza has sent them out to find the Saiyans, and he offered them a really nice payment if they found them. A year back, the Saiyans would have been worried about fighting the Ginyu Force. They probably wouldn't have been able to handle it. But now, this is going to be a really good test for them. The 4 Saiyans go to war against the Ginyu Force. And it is a pretty tough fought battle, but they come out on top. And at this point, it's clear Kakarot is actually the strongest in the crew right now. Vegeta refers to him as their secret weapon. A low-class warrior is completely unassuming. But with him being an android, it makes him really strong. At least in Vegeta's eyes. He is a bit annoyed that a low-class warrior surpassed him, but it's gotta be because of that android stuff, right? Little does he know it's mostly because of Kakarot's work ethic. But yes, being an android partially does buff him. To a good degree, in fact. But only a small percentage of him is cyborg, so Vegeta hasn't considered that. Let's go back over to Earth right now. Again, about a year has passed since Kakarot left. And we'll move forward a few months after that, too. With that time passing after the Ginyu Force is defeated. Krillin is currently not on Earth. He's training with King Kai at the moment. But some of the other people are on Earth. There are a couple strong powers that arrive, with one in particular being really strong. And Tao's one of the people that feels this presence. He seeks it out, and finds a really strong warrior that he assumes is Piccolo. But on a closer look, he sees that there's multiple green people here. Oh, that must be a whole species of demons then. Great, he's gonna have to fight more demons, but whatever. He can finally get his revenge. What he doesn't realize is that this isn't Piccolo. This is actually Nail, alongside Dende and some other Namekians. They've come to Earth looking for help. Nail encounters Tao, Android 8, and somebody else. A guy going by the name of General Blue. He miraculously survived the attack on the Red Ribbon Army, or I guess the Black Ribbon Army in that case. And he went into hiding right away, not realizing that others from the Red Ribbon Army were out there. He's not an android or anything, he's just its regular self. He plans on actually making his own army and hired Tao to get the Dragon Balls for him, plus Android 8's working alongside them too. But now they're fighting these Namekians here, particularly Nail. And Tao thinks he has the strength to take this guy on. If he's as strong as Piccolo, then it shouldn't be too big of an issue. And Nail is really powerful, but Tao has grown a lot stronger in the meantime too. It takes a lot of effort, but he's actually able to beat Nail in this fight. Until another Namekian shows up. This time it's actually Piccolo. With a single punch, he sends Tao flying far away. Android 8 and Blue go to chase after him. Alongside Piccolo, Tien shows up too. The two of them were actually training together in the meantime. By now, Piccolo's kind of warmed up to the group a bit, even though he still keeps to himself and is pretty secluded. But he at least trains with them from time to time, knowing it can make him stronger. Anyways, he's pretty surprised to see this. Like, he obviously knows he's a Namekian, although it is really weird to see Nail because he looks really similar to Piccolo. Anyways, they ask why the Namekians are here, and they actually recognize Tien because he did go to Namek. They had come here for the Dragon Balls, just like the Earthlings did not too long ago. Something's gone wrong on Namek. A powerful entity came there not too long ago, getting the Dragon Balls for himself. Oddly enough, only making one wish, not wishing for anything beyond that. But he immediately destroyed Porunga after the fact and then slaughtered most of the Namekians. The Namekians here on Earth right now are the only ones left alive. They're trying to summon Shenron to revive the other Namekians that have been killed. And yeah, Tien would be glad to help, so they go search for the Dragon Balls with Piccolo tagging along too. And Kami offers his assistance as well. The Namekians help them after all, and of course that is their home planet. But along the way they learn of what actually happened to Namek. At first Tien thinks that Kakarot might have showed up there, but no, it wasn't anything to do with the Saiyans, nor was it Frieza. It was actually another Namekian that came there. They gather the Dragon Balls, summon Shenron, and revive all the Namekians. Now they'll be able to bring Porunga back, and they'll just move their planet to be sure it's safe. But they explain more about what happened. There was an evil Namekian that came by. A super Namekian, in fact. It intrigues Piccolo to hear this. A super Namekian? They learn the history behind what a super Namekian is, and this one in particular. He's grown old and he's become a nomad, but he wanted eternal youth, kinda similar to the previous Piccolo. But this guy was way more threatening. He traveled around different planets, and now he's doing the same thing again, pillaging them. Especially because he's achieved his goal. He's got an eternal youth. This Namekian's name is Slug. They have no clue where he plans on going next, but he might come back to Namek, so that's why they're going to move it once they're back. Let's go back out in space. As Kakarot and his crew are training even further, he senses a strong power approaching the planet. The other Saiyans have learned to sense Ki by now too, no longer needing to rely on scouters. Although, of course, Kakarot does basically have a scouter built into him. But I digress. This power is really strange. It's definitely not Frieza. They at least know what his Ki feels like because Kakarot sensed it before. But this guy feels almost as powerful as Frieza, maybe even a little bit above him. They don't know the true extent of Frieza's power though. But amidst his conquest, Lord Slug arrives on the planet that the Saiyans are on, purely by coincidence. He thought this planet would be nice to take over, especially because he and his crew felt some really strong powers on here. The Saiyans take down his crew pretty quickly, but then they face Lord Slug himself, who already has become young. He could have wished for more from Porunga. He even considered wishing for immortality. But all he really needed was his youth, and to destroy the Dragon Balls just so no one could contest him. Slug is a Namekian of pure evil after all, and he looks to take over the entire universe. In a way, he's pretty similar to Frieza, but they've never seen this guy before or heard of him. It's weird because Kakarot did encounter an evil Namekian on Earth. By now they've heard about King Piccolo and Piccolo Jr. But Kakarot's also learned of what the Namekians are truly like now because after explaining this to Raditz, Vegeta, and Nappa, they told him that it's weird because Namekians are normally pacifist. This guy definitely isn't though. Slug thinks this will be a nice challenge for him. Of course he wants to take over this planet regardless, and on top of that, he would have had to fight these Saiyans eventually knowing that they could be threats to him in the future. What better way to test his returned youth than fight them? Vegeta is the first one to go up against him. And while Slug is suppressed, Vegeta contends with him pretty well, but Slug then shows off his true power, and Vegeta's no challenge for him. The four Saiyans combine their effort together. Normally they would like to fight alone, but as Slug gets serious, things start to get increasingly desperate. The four of them all gang up on him, and even with this combined effort, he's far too powerful for them. Slug is loving this. He eventually will have to fight Frieza too, but he's confident that he could beat Frieza. And based on how this battle's going, the Saiyans feel like this guy might even be stronger than Frieza. Not that they've seen his true power, but at his full strength, Slug right now is actually equivalent to where Frieza would be, if not beyond that. But the only way he'll find that out is if he actually fights Frieza. He's not too sure himself. The Saiyans were completely unprepared for this. They expected to fight Frieza eventually and knew that they'd have to face him at his full power, but this is really different. Even when they're great apes, the Saiyans still aren't really doing too well. They have grown pretty strong though. Raditz and Nappa have 6-digit power levels. They haven't really measured it recently though, so they don't know the true extent of it, while Vegeta and Kakarot have surpassed 1 million a while back. But even as great apes, it seems like they don't stand a chance against Lord Slug. One by one, they get picked off. And given the fact that they're weaker, Nappa and Raditz have a really tough time. Lord Slug launches a mouth beam at Nappa at first, completely incinerating him, killing the Saiyan without much effort. The remaining 3 Saiyans go on defense, realizing that they're probably going to suffer the same fate. But not too long after Nappa's death, Raditz is next to fall. Slug actually grabs onto his tail directly, ripping it clean off, and then stomping on him. Growing large as he does so because of course, since he's fighting great apes, he had to grow in size too. Not that it increased his strength or anything, but it made it pretty easy for him to squish Raditz under his foot. Vegeta and Kakarot are left speechless. Is this where they die? Against a random opponent they didn't even prepare for? A Namekian of all people? Vegeta can't believe it. After all they trained for, This is where it ends. And as for Kakarot, to think, he's falling to someone just like Piccolo. He's already failed before, and look around him. He finally got to meet the Saiyans again, living the way he wanted to. And as a Saiyan, naturally he isn't really very close with people, but he does have some sort of fondness for Raditz, kind of like he does with Tao. Raditz was the one who finally took him away from Earth, and shared some similarities as a low-class warrior and his brother. If there's one thing Kakarot hates more than anything, it's weakness. He's grown so used to being strong, and that worldview was shattered when he fought against Piccolo for the first time, being easily defeated by him. And now, once more, he fights an evil Namekian, one who's too strong to be toppled. He didn't even get to accomplish the goal of defeating Frieza, the thing he's been training for the past year. Has everything been for nothing? Are these two the last Saiyans left? And will Kakarot ever get to see anything again? While he didn't really enjoy Earth too much, he still did want to go back one day. After all, he promised Tao another fight. Plus, he knows he has some pretty interesting opponents there. Not to mention, he wants to fight Frieza. And now, his brother's gone, as well as Nappa, who he's grown to know. He feels a weird surge of emotions, and suddenly, his power flares up significantly. Due to anger, but mostly due to sheer determination, Kakarot has a newfound confidence. He's not going to fall here. His aura explodes, turning into a golden color, as his hair then stands up and turns golden, with his eyes changing color too. Vegeta's caught by surprise, and Slug doesn't know what to think of this either, but in their minds they're both thinking the same thing. Vegeta and Slug, even with their different backgrounds, both know about the legend of the Super Saiyan. Slug's heard legends about this, but they were just that, legends. But he guesses if the Super Namekians are real, it makes sense that the Super Saiyans are too. And Vegeta's completely dumbfounded, to think he's been surpassed once more, in a completely different way. After assuming this form, Kakarot instantly goes in for the kill. At full speed, he flies right through Lord Slug's chest. Slug then shrinks down trying to regenerate, but it's already too late. Mid-air, Kakarot is spun around, launching a technique that he never really used before. It's one Tao's brother knew, and one I'd assume Tao could teach Kakarot as well. Forming his hands into a diamond, Kakarot launches a powerful Kikoho, significantly boosting his power and easily eradicating Lord Slug. Kakarot then floats down to the ground, de-transforming, amazed at the fact that he's become a Super Saiyan. And Vegeta's really happy to see this, congratulating Kakarot. Well done. But now that it's just him and Vegeta, Vegeta says they should immediately go to fight Frieza. If it's true that Slug really is stronger than Frieza, they'll have no issue fighting him with a Super Saiyan on their side. Kakarot wants to bring Raditz and Nappa along first, and Vegeta's confused on what he means. They're dead. Well, maybe not permanently. They have Dragon Balls back on Earth, and they could use those to revive them. Honestly, Vegeta doesn't really care about that. He'd rather just go and kill Frieza right now. King Cold too while they're at it. But Kakarot wants to bring the others back first. Of course, they would want to witness this fight. Besides, it's not like he wants to bring back all the Saiyans at once. He only really wants to see those two again. It would be a shame if they didn't get to witness Frieza's defeat, especially with it only being a few weeks off at most. Kakarot isn't completely ruthless. While he is definitely evil, he at least does hold respect for others like Tao and Raditz. And despite Tao's evil nature, as well as the Red Ribbon Army, still, Kakarot did grow up on Earth where connections like these are more common, even if you are evil. So while most Saiyans probably wouldn't be able to connect with other people as easily, I feel Kakarot could to some extent, even if it's not the same as normal Earthlings. Particularly, he's mostly focused on bringing Raditz back. He owes it to him, after all. Vegeta begrudgingly goes along with this because, well, he could use the Dragon Balls for himself. He'll just steal the wish and become immortal. Who cares about reviving those two? Kakarot and Vegeta heal up, growing stronger from this. And as they depart their planet, Frieza makes his move on the Saiyans. Of course, thanks to the Guinea Force he's known about them. And he has monitored Lord Slug. His scouts found Lord Slug out in space, and Slug didn't bother him yet, so he didn't bother Slug. Although, he knew he'd have to fight Slug eventually. And seeing Slug go after the Saiyans, he just let him do that. But knowing the Saiyans defeated him makes Frieza a little bit worried. He never got to see how strong Slug truly was. Frieza would assume Slug's weaker than him, but Slug's actually a little stronger than he is. Either way, this does worry Frieza a bit. How did the Saiyans grow so strong? Surely it must have been a fluke. Either way, he's gonna have to deal with things himself. The Saiyans head out to Earth, and not too far behind them, Frieza heads out to find the Saiyans. On their way to Earth, Kakarot does remember Piccolo said the Dragon Balls would disappear with him. And as far as Kakarot knows, Piccolo is still dead. He assumed that it might have been a bluff, but even if he can't find the Dragon Balls at Earth, he might be able to get some more info on there. As their ships fly through space, Vegeta asks why they're even going there then. If there's a chance there might not even be Dragon Balls, what's the point? Well, Kakarot also wanted to return here for another reason. It's not like they can go to Namek because Slug mentioned he wished for his youth there, and seemingly destroyed it. So really, Earth is their only option if they want Dragon Balls. Even some info on them would be helpful because Namek itself is gone and this is the only thing he could think of. Vegeta thinks this is pointless. They don't need the Dragon Balls. He doesn't want to bring Raditz and Nappa back. If he gets them, then yeah, he'll just wish for immortality. But otherwise, there's no point going to Earth. And wait, why is he even listening to what Kakarot wants? Whatever, this all seems pointless, but he'll humor him for now. The two Saiyans arrive on Earth, and pretty much right when they land, they're met with resistance. Krillin, Tien, Chaozu, Yamcha, and Piccolo. They're ready to fight Kakarot the second he lands. Surprised to see another Saiyan here too. And Kakarot is a bit confused to see Piccolo alive again. Well, that's a good thing because clearly that means there's Dragon Balls somewhere. Something brought him back to life, so that either means he was bluffing about the Dragon Balls being connected to him, or there's another set out there, in which case, it means Earth's Dragon Balls are back as well. Though, what Kakarot actually doesn't know is that the Dragon Balls are inactive at the moment because Shenron brought the Namekians back not too long ago. This is also the first time Kakarot's actually seen Krillin face to face. Same with Yamcha too, I guess. He's fought with Tien before, and he's obviously fought Piccolo too. He lets them know he's grown a lot stronger since the last time he came here. He actually just fought a Super Namekian, someone far stronger than Piccolo, so he wonders if Piccolo could achieve that same strength. Tien asks if he means Lord Slug, and yeah, Kakarot's surprised he even knows about him. This concerns them a bit because after what Nail told them about Lord Slug, they feel like they stand no chance against Kakarot if he truly did defeat that guy. They ask why he's back though. He tells them to not be concerned. He's not taking over this useless planet or anything, and he's not here to kill anyone either. He just wanted to see if the Dragon Balls were back, which apparently they are. They of course don't tell Kakarot the Dragon Balls are inactive right now, and they also know he has no way of actually tracking them. Although, he does. He's gonna find Tao, who should have a Dragon Ball radar of his own. Gero did procure one from the Red Ribbon Army before that got destroyed, and Tao should have one in his possession now. Anyways, there's no more need to exchange words, so they begin fighting. Vegeta watches on from the sidelines, wondering how strong these Earthlings are, and they don't seem too powerful. Kakarot fights them all in base, taking every single one of them on at once. But then mid-fight, he realizes how above them he is, so he simply transforms into his Super Saiyan, finishing them all off with ease. Although he is impressed with that bald one. Tien? No, the short one. Chaozu? No, Krillin. Besides, Chaozu's not bald, so Krillin's the Star Warrior of the Turtle School, apparently the strongest person on the planet right now, and also the Guardian of Earth. He does seem to be an interesting warrior. Vegeta thinks this is all a waste of time. They should just go look for the Dragon Balls now. And Kakarot says they shouldn't interfere. None of them need to die. He has no reason to kill them. Tien even gets ready to try the Mafuba just in case, but weirdly enough, Kakarot and Vegeta just leave. They truly have no interest in fighting these guys any longer. They wonder who that other guy is too. Clearly he's a Saiyan just like Kakarot. King Kai actually did tell Krillin about Vegeta, the prince of the Saiyans, so that must be him. But why did it look like Vegeta was following Kakarot if anything? Shouldn't it be the other way around? And does he have that same form Kakarot has? Kakarot flies off looking for Tao, and Vegeta wonders why Kakarot didn't kill those guys. Kakarot says what's the point? Well, Vegeta says they stood directly against them, and Kakarot says they're interesting warriors. Who knows, maybe they could fight them again in the future. They've grown pretty strong, and it makes Kakarot interested to see where they could truly go. And if Vegeta guesses he can understand that, but still. Really? Those guys? They didn't seem that powerful or interesting. Kakarot should have just wiped them out, but Kakarot says it doesn't really matter. He's then able to find Tao. Rather, Tao is able to find him. And Kakarot's pretty surprised to see that Blue's with him, alive and actually not a cyborg. Blue can't believe it. Kakarot's grown up. He seems a lot stronger than before. And Vegeta's getting annoyed with all the reunions, but Kakarot explains who these people are. These are the people from the army who raised him. Tao's actually his teacher, and Blue trained him a bit too. As for Android 8, well, he's just Android 8. Kakarot even takes some time to spar with Tao just like he promised, and of course he beats him, amazing Tao with his new transformation. Vegeta's getting really impatient too, asking Kakarot to just get to the point. Tao says he does have the Dragon Ball radar still, but it seems like the Dragon Balls are inactive right now. Someone must have used them recently. That's fine. He'll just have to wait here for the Dragon Balls then. Kakarot's just wasting time fighting these people, and the worst part is he seems like friends with this guy that they're talking with right now. This weakling was his teacher? Plus, they can't even get the Dragon Balls they came here for. Vegeta was at least going to let it slide because he was going to steal the wish for himself. But this is all getting annoying now. Just as they're about to leave, they sense a couple powers approaching. Kakarot smirks, and Vegeta's mood brightens up a bit too. It's Frieza. This should be fun. Blue's a bit terrified because he's never felt a power that strong, and clearly, it's someone who's not an ally to them. Tao kinda keeps his composure, wondering if Kakarot could truly handle this, but Kakarot says it's fine. The ships land not too far away, and all the fighters that just fought Kakarot before, they fly over too. Frieza's army steps off the ship, and Kakarot says the Z fighters are probably going to want to fight those guys. Tao, Blue, and Android 8 even join in. This will be a nice test of their powers. Of course, the Z fighters find this really weird too, because they were just roped into a fight that they didn't expect at all, and they're fighting alongside the last few people from the Red Ribbon Army. Whatever, it looks like this is more important to deal with, so everyone takes on Frieza's troops. As Frieza gets off his ship and walks towards Kakarot, he tells him that he knew he'd be an annoyance. Of course, he always suspected that of Vegeta too, but now he'll finally get rid of them. And weirdly enough, he sees that they're missing two Saiyans. He guesses they end up dying. Good, less monkeys for him to deal with. Vegeta goes to fight some of Frieza's troops, targeting whatever strong ones remain, but really there's not many that are that powerful. And Kakarot faces Frieza himself. Having some knowledge of what happened with Kakarot and Vegeta recently, and the fact that they fought Lord Slug, Frieza immediately powers up, going into his final form. He honestly thinks this might be overkill, but then Kakarot completely shocks him, going Super Saiyan. Frieza can't believe what he's seeing. Saiyans are only supposed to be able to transform into great apes, so what is this? Surely it can't be the Super Saiyan of legend. That's just a myth. And Kakarot kind of finds it funny seeing the expression on Frieza's face. He's clearly feared this his entire life, hasn't he? And now he's finally gonna have to face the Super Saiyan, and it looks like he stands no chance. And right after transforming into his final form, Frieza said this wasn't even his full power, so Kakarot tells Frieza to show off his full strength. He wants to defeat him at 100%, not whatever this is. So Frieza begins charging energy and goes into his full power. The Z Fighters, Tao's crew, and Vegeta are all amazed at what they sense. Although Vegeta's not too concerned. Kakarot clearly has the upper hand here. This fight should be easier than the one he had against Lord Slug, although Kakarot's not just going to finish it right off the bat. He wants to enjoy himself a bit and test out what Frieza's power is truly like. The two start fighting, and Vegeta sees that this is his chance. As Tao is preoccupied with some of the Frieza Force soldiers, Vegeta then attacks him, defeating him with ease and trying to take the Dragon Ball radar from him, but Blue and 8 then jump in to help. Amidst his fight with Frieza, Kakarot noticed this too. What the hell's Vegeta doing? Tao's on their side. Though Kakarot's not stupid, he can clearly tell what Vegeta's going for. He wants the Dragon Ball radar for himself. But why? The Dragon Balls aren't even active. Besides, they could have just waited until this fight was over. Unless Vegeta's trying to do something without Kakarot. That's the only explanation for it. He continues fighting Frieza, and then, telepathically, he starts communicating with Krillin, the strongest of the Z Fighters. He has no reason to trust Kakarot, but he asks if they could help stop Vegeta for now. Of course, this surprises Krillin, and he's not going to trust it right away. But to be honest, Kakarot values Tao more than Vegeta. Vegeta's clearly trying to make some move against him, and Kakarot's not sure what's going on, but something's definitely wrong. Vegeta may be turning against him. Krillin's not really too sure what to do here. Maybe he should just let them kill each other because everyone here who's not part of his group is an enemy to him. Vegeta's not an ally, Kakarot's not an ally, Tao isn't, Frieza isn't. Why should he help anyone here? But even with all the evils around him, it makes him wonder if anyone here's the lesser of the evils. Besides, Vegeta is going for the Dragon Ball radar, so who knows what he could do with that. Krillin tells Tien about this too, and as far as they know, Kakarot doesn't know that Namek's back. Though he did fight Lord Slug, so maybe he does know some things about Namek, and Vegeta's going to use that Dragon Ball radar to go to Namek, terrorizing that planet if he can't get the Dragon Balls here. And besides, even if he doesn't, he's a threat to Earth. Nobody knows what Vegeta's endgame is here. He seems to be working alone now. So Krillin begrudgingly agrees to what Kakarot said, especially because Kakarot's their only hope of fighting Frieza right now, and they don't want him distracted by whatever Vegeta's doing. Though he does have one question for Kakarot. If he's going to help out, he wants to know what Kakarot's wishing for. Kakarot is simply here to revive his allies, the two other Saiyans he was working with, one of them being his brother. But that's weird. Why is Vegeta working against Kakarot then? And Kakarot's not really sure. He seems to not care about their allies, and maybe he's going to use the wish for something else. Who knows? But he's definitely trying to snake Kakarot. Vegeta easily defeats Tao's crew and gets the Dragon Ball radar, but Krillin then steps up. Tien, Piccolo, Yamcha, and Chaozu go around him, fighting off the Frieza Force soldiers so Krillin could just focus on Vegeta. And Krillin immediately activates Kaioken. It catches Vegeta by surprise, and he's getting completely overwhelmed by Krillin, but Vegeta knows a way to even the odds, or even get the advantage here. Quickly he creates a fake moon, throwing it up in the sky, and getting ready to turn into a great ape. Kakarot is still busy fighting Frieza. Frieza is a weaker opponent than Slug, but it's not like Kakarot's just going to one-shot him or easily deal with him. He still is having some level of difficulty here. Maybe he should make this fight faster. But Kakarot telepathically communicates with Krillin again, telling him to cut Vegeta's tail off, otherwise they're screwed. Frieza notices Kakarot's brief distraction and punches him in the face, telling him to pay attention. Vegeta fully turns into a great ape, but then Blue yells at him, looking Vegeta directly in the eyes and briefly paralyzing him. Blue doesn't know how long that's going to hold because Vegeta's a lot stronger than him, though Blue has grown considerably in the past few years too. Surprisingly enough, Chaozu then joins in too, lending his own telekinesis. This paralyzes Vegeta just for a few seconds, and that's enough time for Krillin to actually create a Kienzan, cutting off his tail, rendering his transformation useless. Tien destroys the artificial moon, and Kakarot didn't look up at it at all because he wasn't sure what would have happened if he transformed into a great ape while Super Saiyan, or if that would even do anything to him. That's for him to find out later. Just as Vegeta is defeated, Kakarot finishes the fight with Frieza, killing him, and then Kakarot quickly flies over, asking Vegeta what he was trying to do. What was he going to wish for? And Vegeta asks Kakarot why he's so concerned about bringing the other two back. They're weaklings. They have the power to make any wish they want, and they're going to bring back those two? He doesn't get why Vegeta's so against it, and Vegeta says he's going to use the Dragon Balls to become the strongest no matter what. Clearly Kakarot's head is getting too big. Sure, he might be a Super Saiyan, but he has to remember who Vegeta is. He's bossing him around. He dragged him to this backwater planet for nothing and just wasted his time. And he tells him that there's these magic wish-granting orbs out there, and he's making such a stupid wish with them. Why does he hold some sort of sentimental value for the other two Saiyans? Kakarot can clearly see Vegeta was trying to go against him somehow, and Vegeta says Kakarot needs to remember who the prince is. The prince? The prince of what? Kakarot's the only member of his crew, and he's stronger than Vegeta. And Vegeta starts getting angrier, and Kakarot can clearly see he hit a nerve. He taunts Vegeta further. What's he gonna do about it? Vegeta quickly charges a powerful blast, launching it straight at Kakarot, and Kakarot simply lifts a hand up, absorbing it. This simple disagreement led to both of them having a falling out, and Vegeta knows he can't win here. He was already defeated by the Earthlings, and angrily, Vegeta retreats. He calls over both space pods and blows up Kakarot's, then quickly boarding his and launching off into space. But Kakarot doesn't do anything about it. Well, looks like he's stuck here now. The Earthlings are all left confused, even the ones in Tao's crew. Yamcha thinks they should just stay out of whatever's happening here, but Tien thinks this is good. Something's changing in Kakarot. He's clearly evil, but his biggest ally just turned against him due to his pride. Plus, Kakarot still needs the Dragon Balls, and clearly he holds some sort of respect for Earth. And Tao says Kakarot should just come with them. He's been waiting for Kakarot to return after all. It's not like Kakarot has any other option, and these are his true allies. He liked being a Saiyan warrior, but there was too much ego involved. Earth has affected him, whether he'll admit it or not. Kakarot then walks up to the others. They get ready to fight. He's not their ally by any means, but they don't have to worry about him destroying the planet. Kakarot's only goal is to grow as strong as possible now, and he knows Vegeta's out there, as well as King Cold. Piccolo asks Kakarot what he plans to do then. Well, he's still going to revive his brother, and he feels he owes it to Nappa to bring him back too. The latter's more loyal to Vegeta, but maybe he'll join Kakarot's side after this. But after that, he's leaving this planet again. He walks back over to Tao and gets ready to leave, but then he stops. He turns to the Z-Fighters and tells them to grow stronger. Give him a better fight next time. They can't tell if he's joking or not because his expression looks dead serious. Yamcha just says he's a weird guy, but Tien thinks he's just showing a bit of respect there. He thinks Vegeta showed him what a truly selfish warrior looks like, and Kakarot is a villain, but he still values camaraderie. And it's pretty clear with his relationship to Tao that he realizes he will only grow strong with the help of others around him, whether they're full-on allies or not. Fighting other people is what's going to make him grow strong. Kakarot then flies off, but Krillin yells out to him. Kakarot stops midair, and Krillin throws a Senzu Bean at him. He says they're even now. He helped them stop Vegeta, and even though they probably were the ones to bring Frieza here, he stopped him. That Senzu Bean's going to heal him fully, and Kakarot's scowl fades from his face. It turns into a smirk. He saves the Senzu Bean for later. He doesn't need it right now. His name was Krillin, right? He'll remember him. He's truly an impressive warrior. So are the others like Tien and Piccolo. Yamcha's a little bummed. He got no recognition. Chaozu's not too surprised though, and Piccolo thinks that was a really weird exchange, but he has no room to talk because he ended up joining these people too. Maybe Kakarot's finally changing somehow. Or maybe he's still going to be evil, just not heartless. Meanwhile, Jiro's supercomputer gets more data. In a hidden lab, 3 projects emerged. Androids 13, 14, and 15 awaken. Kakarot is Jiro's biggest foe now, and same for the Earthlings. 13 got a bunch of great data, and everyone's here at the moment, so he's ready to have some fun, and get that revenge for Jiro. A couple of weeks pass. Vegeta's back out in space, and eventually, he's found by King Cold. So, he really has no other option but to fight him. And this seems like a death sentence. I mean, think about it. He couldn't even do anything against Frieza, and while King Cold is weaker, still, Vegeta's not really going to be too much of a challenge for him. So, pretty quickly after being found, Vegeta is defeated by King Cold. But Vegeta doesn't give up that easily. King Cold obviously plans on killing him right now, but he's not going to let that happen. He keeps trying to fight back, feeling insignificant. He couldn't do anything against Slug, against Frieza, against Kakarot, and now against King Cold. How did that low-class scum become a Super Saiyan and he couldn't? Sure, Kakarot's a modified Saiyan, but Vegeta's the prince. He's an elite warrior. He should be the strongest of the strong. He's slowly running out of steam, but then he gets a second wind. These feelings all bubble up inside of him. Through a mix of rage and determination, Vegeta's power soars. For a brief moment, he becomes a Super Saiyan, and it's just enough for him to overcome King Cold, killing him. But he loses the form immediately after, collapsing on the planet that they're fighting. With this awakening out in space, let's go back to Earth and see what's happening with Kakarot. It's going to take more than a few weeks for this to happen, so we're skipping forward another few months. The moment the Dragon Balls are active again, Kakarot goes to search for them. He's had a lot of time to think too, but he was mainly thinking about whether or not this is the right idea. He saw Vegeta already turn against him, so would it be wise to revive the other 2 Saiyans? At the very least, Nappa he's concerned about. Again, he feels like he owes it to him to revive him, but he's loyal to Vegeta, and look what Vegeta did. Raditz he has no qualms about though, but he's come to a good conclusion. He's going to revive them both. If Nappa tries to work against him in any way, it'll be easy to send him back to wherever he went. And it's not even so much about bringing them back at this point, it's just the principle of things. And he's come to realize what Vegeta truly fears. Somebody that's supposed to be weaker than him becoming stronger than him. Kakarot's a low-class warrior after all, and he's known for a while that that's messed with Vegeta's head. Even with the fact that he's an android, only so much of his power could be explained by being an android, and he knows Vegeta knows that too. It's an ego thing, isn't it? Shenron's actually nice enough to bring them here because otherwise they would have been revived on that planet that they died on, and probably been stuck there. Of course, Raditz and Nappa are really confused at first. They're back to life on a completely different planet. So it takes some time for Kakarot to explain. Now Raditz isn't too surprised to know that Vegeta actually just went on his own and completely betrayed Kakarot. Whatever, he was warming up to Kakarot anyway, so he'll stay on his side. As for Nappa, he kind of wants to go and find Vegeta, though he doesn't really have much of an option here because they don't have a ship to go find him with. So he's pretty conflicted. He's loyal to Vegeta and not Kakarot, but it's not like he really has any qualms with Kakarot right now. Plus, the fact that Vegeta abandoned Kakarot and even him and Raditz, the fact that he didn't want to revive them, that kind of rubs Nappa the wrong way. He's going to go do his own thing for a bit. He's going to stay on Earth because he can't leave, but he just goes off on his own for now, while Raditz and Kakarot stick together, even spending some time to train for a bit. The thing is, no one's really done a lot of training recently, but Nappa's out in the wilderness on his own, and immediately after being revived, he wants to test out how strong he is right now because he just feels a little insignificant at the moment, especially after that Lord Slug fight. He starts training, and his power is immediately detected. A small man finds Nappa pretty quickly, asking if he knows where Kakarot is. He's actually been searching around for strong powers and hasn't really felt much of anything recently. He assumed that Kakarot might have left the planet, but maybe this guy will know about him. Nappa tells this guy to get lost, though he's a bit curious how this guy knows Kakarot. Does he know who Nappa is too? No, he doesn't at all actually, but Nappa says Kakarot's not here. Well, then he's useless. This is Android 15 of course, and he starts fighting Nappa. Android 14 even shows up too, and the two defeat Nappa with ease. Kakarot and Raditz sense this not too far away. They feel Nappa's power spike, and at first they assume he's just training, but then it becomes pretty clear he's not training. He's fighting at full power. So the two of them arrive, and Kakarot quickly powers up into Super Saiyan, defeating 14 and 15 with ease, especially once he sees the Red Ribbon Army logo on them. Great. These must be more goons for Gero. How does he still have androids out there? But then he remembers. Yeah, Gero was actually working on something when they last saw him. He kept mentioning some Android 13, and it looks like the supercomputer finished things for him. Androids 14 and 15 are technically his final androids, but 13 is the most powerful one. And he's actually not here just yet. They've been awake for a while, actually. But 13 was trying to scope things out more and get more info on Kakarot because he didn't even know if Kakarot was still on this planet. Of course, this entire time he was. But after Gero spied on them a while ago, he knew that Kakarot left for some brief period of time. They were waiting to strike until they were actually sure Kakarot was back. And then after they killed Kakarot, they could just cause havoc around Earth and take over it, I guess. They were hoping the supercomputer could get more research too, but there wasn't really anything of value in the past few months. The last thing they saw was Kakarot fighting Frieza, and nothing really after that. Anyways, Kakarot tries to question 14 and 15, but they're not really going to answer anything for him. Fine, he'll just destroy them then. With a blast in each hand, he blows up both of the androids, sending pieces of them flying everywhere. As the pieces rain down from the sky, Kakarot hears the metal collide with another piece of metal, or at least that's what it sounds like. He turns back, and there's a man there that he didn't sense before, with the pieces of metal bouncing off him as they rain down. And then Kakarot gets a good look at his clothes. He's wearing the Red Ribbon Army logo. So, he's another android. Kakarot hopes he's not a pushover like the other two. And he says he's not. He's Android 13. Maybe Kakarot's heard of him. Kakarot smirks. So this is what Gero was developing. Gero kept hyping him up as some sort of grand project. And 13 says that's what he is. The injured Nappa is there on the ground, really confused as to what's happening, and Raditz is a bit nervous too. With all this time on Earth, he knows Tao, Android 8, and Blue. And he knows Android 8 is an android, obviously. Plus the fact that Kakarot and Tao are technically cyborgs as well. So shouldn't this android be Kakarot's ally? And Kakarot says it's a bit complicated. Doesn't Raditz remember that old guy that he killed before? Yeah, that was the guy that actually turned Kakarot into an android, and the guy who built this android standing right in front of them. Oh, so it's a revenge thing. Yep, exactly. And Raditz partially wants to get ready to fight, but at the same time he knows he doesn't really stand a chance if Nappa got defeated by those other two androids, and this guy's claiming he's stronger than the other two. But it might be a bluff, though Kakarot's going to handle this alone. The two of them begin fighting, and with Kakarot in Super Saiyan, he's doing pretty well. Kakarot is pretty surprised though, but it shouldn't be too big of an issue though. Though he notices 13 isn't firing any ki blast at him or anything. He knows about Kakarot's energy absorption. The two keep fighting, and Android 13 kinda wants to speed things up a bit. He might as well finish this with his full power. The pieces of 14 and 15 then start flying around him. Kakarot's confused at first, and then he watches as the parts merge into Android 13. He then grows in size, transforming into something completely different, Super Android 13. And immediately, the tone of the battle shifts. For the first time since his encounter with Lord Slug, Kakarot is facing a real challenge, someone who's far stronger than him. Raditz tries to help, but it's not like he could really do much. It's not like he could even transform into a great ape either, nor can Nappa. Their tails are still missing from Lord Slug. Not that it would do anything. Nappa feels like even if they were great apes, it wouldn't really accomplish much. They would just be getting in the way if anything. And 13 is completely stomping Kakarot. Kakarot of course isn't giving up at all. And there are some times in the fight when 13 gets a little bit too ahead of himself, launching ki blast at Kakarot, and Kakarot ends up absorbing it, which gives him a little bit of extra power, but 13's actually just toying with him, giving Kakarot a little extra energy to give him a second wind. just to make the beatdown a bit more interesting. 13 continues beating on him, and then he holds out a hand trying to launch a blast right at Kakarot point blank. Kakarot of course instinctively puts his hands out trying to absorb it, but then 13 stops charging the blast, grabbing both of Kakarot's arms and holding them out to his sides. He fell for it. He then knees Kakarot right in the stomach, stunning him for a bit and then putting his hand up against Kakarot once more, this time charging a blast right on his torso, sending a beam right through it. He can't absorb the blast like this. Kakarot falls to the ground and then 13 floats higher up, charging one last attack to finally finish him off, but something then slices him. It doesn't do a lot of damage to him, but it leaves a deep cut right on his head. He turns back and briefly sees Krillin there, who then launches a solar flare to blind 13. Krillin then quickly flies over to Kakarot, grabbing him up from the ground and finding a spot for him to hide. Krillin's honestly terrified right now. There's nothing he could do against Android 13 and decided to help Kakarot out anyways. Kakarot's barely alive, but Krillin asks if he still has that Senzu beam from before. Oh yeah, that thing he gave him the last time they met. You know, Kakarot finds it kind of funny. He wouldn't have expected Krillin to save him, but thanks him for that. Well, Krillin says to not get too ahead of himself because Kakarot's going to be the one to save them now. Whatever this threat is, it's definitely something Krillin can't deal with. Kakarot actually does have the Senzu beam on him, then biting into it, and then immediately he feels a huge burst of power. His wounds heal. He even gets a Zenkai from this too, and he feels his power surging. He asks for one more thing though. If Krillin really wants to help, lend him some energy. Telepathically he communicates with Raditz and Nappa too. He's about to go back into the fight, and once he does, he wants them to shoot their most powerful ki blast at him. Krillin feels like there's probably a better way to lend energy. Like, he was training with King Kai and learned the Spirit Bomb. He knows a technique that's kind of similar to what Kakarot's trying to do, but Kakarot's actually just asking to absorb their energy. Just launch some really strong ki blast at him. Well, it seems a little shoddy, but it should work. Kakarot goes to his full power, which is stronger than before now. He's pushing that strength to its limits. 13 immediately senses him and flies over to where he is. As Kakarot launches up in the air, Krillin, Raditz, and Nappa all shoot ki blast up, using all the power that they have. The three beams swirl together, and Kakarot holds one hand out, absorbing it all at once. His aura then flares up even further, taking on a bluish hue. He feels so much strength, but no, this isn't enough. He needs more. He goes in to fight 13, and the two briefly clash, but Kakarot's asking for more power. He's not asking anyone in particular, just basically asking himself. He has more locked away. He's going to tap into it no matter what. The boost from his recovery, the boost from the people around him, and now a boost from his sheer determination. Briefly, Kakarot taps into a new level of power. His energy gets far more intense. Sparks of electricity surround him. Kakarot accesses Super Saiyan 2. He takes advantage of this power, punching clean through Android 13, then recoiling his arm back, creating a diamond shape with his hands, and launching the most powerful Kikoho he's launched yet. Android 13 is completely destroyed, evaporating from the energy, and then all the energy dispels from Kakarot, though he's glad with himself. He doesn't know what that power was that he accessed, but he won the fight, and that's really all that matters to him. And it also tells him that there's more power he could access. He's not at his peak yet, probably not even close. Krillin's amazed watching from below. Thankfully he's not their foe anymore because there's no way he could deal with Kakarot. But Kakarot floats back down to where Raditz and Nappa are. Nappa begrudgingly thanks Kakarot for reviving him and for saving him. Raditz actually knows about Super Saiyan because he spent enough time around Kakarot. He doesn't have it for himself, but Kakarot has told him about it. And Nappa did hear about it from Kakarot when he first got revived, but this is the first time he saw it in person, and it makes the two other Saiyans realize how far behind Kakarot they are. And Kakarot thinks it might be time for them to finally leave Earth. But where are they going to go to? And how? Well, Kakarot does have an idea. They search for Jiro's lab, specifically whichever one developed Android 13. It takes some time, but they eventually find it. He knows that Jiro took Kakarot's space pod before. That's how he has the moon projector in his hands. And Jiro's regular lab might be gone, but this one has backups of everything, so once they find it, they even have schematics of Kakarot's space pod. But now the bigger issue is who's going to build this for them, because they have the plans for it, but none of them are really that technical. Thankfully, Krillin actually has someone in mind. It's Bulma. She's not really sure about helping out these people, especially because she doesn't know who Raditz and Nappa are, and as far as she knows, Kakarot terrorized everyone before. But Krillin promises he's better now. And for Bulma, this isn't really too hard of a task to do. This isn't even the first spaceship she's made. But with these schematics, combined with the previous data she has on building spaceships, particularly the one that took them to Namek, she's able to build a new ship for Kakarot and his crew. It's bigger too, and it could actually be turned into a capsule if they wanted as well. Much faster than the last ship she made as well. She kind of took this as a challenge for herself, but at the same time, since she wasn't really too sure about Kakarot herself, this is a good way to ensure that they're not going to be a problem on Earth. Now, Krillin's not even worried about Kakarot anymore, but he doesn't blame her for thinking like that. Kakarot says his goodbyes to everyone. Tao's crew, and Krillin's crew. It was really interesting coming back here, but he doesn't know. He feels like this planet isn't really for him. And again, it's not like he's some virtuous warrior like Krillin or someone. There's bigger and better things out in space that he can encounter. The three Saiyans end up leaving with no real plan of what they're going to do next. And out in space, Vegeta's training. He's recovered and is stronger than before. And more importantly, he's a Super Saiyan. He can't wait to beat Kakarot. Kakarot and Raditz go out in space and they kind of just do whatever out there. There's not a specific directive that they have or some place that they're trying to go. Of course, Kakarot's main goal is to find Vegeta and kill him, although that's kind of on the back burner. He's not actively pursuing him, and he doesn't really need to go after him, but he knows he'll encounter Vegeta again someday, and they're going to have to fight to the death. So the main goal of them right now is probably just to grow stronger, which, after about a year out in space, they realize there's no point being out here, really. Sure, maybe they could find some intense planets to train on, and for all they know, they could maybe find a planet with some sort of weird abilities that they could pick up on. But they're kind of just aimlessly going through space, and at some point they come to realize maybe it's better to just stay on Earth at this point. Not to mention, the food on Earth was way better. They don't have any problem finding food out in space and being self-sufficient, but they'd rather have the tasty stuff on Earth. So they're out in space for about a year, and eventually they come back. They set up a little base here on Earth. Actually, they go exactly where the Red Ribbon Army used to be. The whole place pretty much got flattened by King Piccolo, and it was never used after the fact. But Kakarot finds some sort of sentimental value here, so he builds up a compound there. And there's a ton of space. Raditz and Nappa live alongside him, with Tao, Blue, and Android 8 also moving in. Tao's crew and the two Saiyans get along a lot more, and it's kind of weird because it's almost like it forms its own new faction. Blue initially wanted to build up a new army, but as far as he knows, the Red Ribbon Army is completely gone. Though he just got a really attractive job offer for someone, strangely enough. He doesn't really have that much of a resume, but some company called Red Pharmaceuticals decided to recruit him. And Tao also gets hired as security too. And it's really strange. They got these offers out of nowhere, and the company has red in the name, and they have a logo that looks just like the Red Ribbon Army's logo. The company's a little smaller right now, but it's growing very rapidly. And Tao's not stupid. He knows this is a front for the Red Ribbon Army, or at least whatever's left of it. And Blue's surprised that they got away with it for this long. They end up joining because the money's good, and they want to figure out what the Red Ribbon Army is up to. In Blue's eyes, he could usurp whatever control's there, and if they truly are trying to build up another army, well, he'll just take control of it, and he'll go from there. Tao, on the other hand, is just going for a paycheck. He was never really with the Red Ribbon Army in the first place, but he hasn't really gotten much assassin work recently. Also, he looked kind of freaky as a cyborg, so he couldn't really get a job in general. But thankfully, using most of his funds, he was able to get some great surgery, so he looks almost normal again. But he's still a cyborg, though. This company also tries to recruit Kakarot a bunch, but he's not going for it. He doesn't care to work for the army, and as long as they stay out of his way, he's not going to bother with them. But who knows, maybe they actually have turned a new leaf, and Red Pharmaceuticals is a legitimate company. Years pass on Earth. Weirdly enough, there's no sign of Vegeta. Nappa's still kind of unsure about going against Vegeta, but after spending a lot more time with Kakarot, he grows to like him more too. And he's kind of neutral on the whole thing. He doesn't care to fight Vegeta, but he's definitely an ally to Kakarot at this point. Raditz, on the other hand, he actually wants to kill Vegeta, but it's kind of like Kakarot where he's not actively pursuing it. Kakarot spends time teaching Super Saiyan to Raditz and Nappa, and not long after the fight with Android 13, Kakarot unlocks Super Saiyan 2 for himself. He already used it in that fight after all, so it only took a few weeks for him to tap into it again, and now he has full control over it. Eventually Raditz and Nappa get it too, but that's years down the line. But Tao starts to train Kakarot a lot more. He's become a great warrior, and he's grown really strong, far stronger than Tao ever was. And Tao's grown a lot too, but Kakarot still has more skills he could pick up on. He can always keep learning, and Tao takes great pride in his student. He never thought he'd have a full-on student in the first place. Initially, the army just paid him a bunch to train Kakarot, and over time it turned into him becoming a real teacher for him. At some point, they're a few months out from another world tournament, and Tao says Kakarot should join it. He wants him to participate and show his skills against other fighters. Also, hold back Super Saiyan, and just hold back his powers in general. Just match his opponent's strength and try and outskill them. Kakarot kind of thinks this is a waste of time. He'd rather fight really strong opponents without holding back, but Tao reminds Kakarot not to talk back to his master. Kakarot then shuts up and apologizes, which really surprises Raditz and Nappa. They didn't realize he viewed Tao that highly, but Tao definitely sees that Kakarot can grow a lot more. At some point in their training, he asked Kakarot to use that Great Ape form again, and try and transform into his Super Saiyan. Kakarot was wondering if this would work, and he's tried it a few times but couldn't really pull it off. But Tao thinks that if he's trying to seek a new level of power combining those two, well, he should keep trying to do it. Don't give up until he's 100% positive he can't find anything there. After getting Super Saiyan 2, Kakarot had shifted his focus, and he's just trying to go beyond Super Saiyan 2. But maybe this could work. Going a little bit backwards and working on Super Saiyan and Great Ape together, who knows, it could have a good effect. So he tries this out a bunch. And after a few days, something finally clicks. He pushes himself to his limits, and as a Great Ape, he's able to transform into his Super Saiyan, becoming a golden Great Ape. Raditz and Nappa are amazed at what they're witnessing. They don't even have their tails anymore, which kinda sucks. They wish they could pull that off, but immediately they come to see that something's wrong. Kakarot has grown a ton in power, but it's completely uncontrolled. Raditz and Nappa go Super Saiyan 2, expecting to fight him like this. They know they stand no chance though, because even if Kakarot were just in Super Saiyan 2 right now, he'd be able to take both of them on at once. But he's even stronger than that. In this Golden Grade 8 form, he's grown significantly. Blue and Android 8 are present too. Tao wanted this to be a demonstration for everyone, so he got them all together. And those two are pretty terrified, but Tao isn't deterred. He's disappointed though. What kind of student is Kakarot? A true assassin wouldn't lose his composure like that. And even though Kakarot's completely uncontrolled, he hears Tao say this and looks directly at him. And then Tao shouts at him. What, he's gonna go against his master now? Tao needs him to control that power, otherwise he's a failure. But Kakarot goes back to rampaging, trying to attack Tao, but Tao effortlessly dodges every attack. He's grown a lot as a warrior himself, and he's nowhere near Kakarot's strength, but he's very analytical and very fast. It's almost like his body moves on instinct at this point too. He keeps him cool and continues distracting Kakarot, trying to knock some sense into him by talking to him. Raw power is not going to work here. By going on a rampage, Kakarot's wasting so much of his movements, and on top of that, it's really easy for Tao to predict what he's doing, outmaneuvering him pretty quick. Worst case scenario, he goes for Kakarot's tail, and he won't be able to use Grade Ape anymore. And he even threatens Kakarot with this, but he goes back to his teaching standpoint. He needs him to regain his composure. And after a few minutes of this back and forth, Tao is finally able to break through to him. Raditz and Nappa are amazed at what they're seeing because they thought they'd just have to fight Kakarot, but Tao took this as a coaching opportunity and he made it work. Kakarot regains his control, and he stops rampaging, but then something changes. He starts shrinking. Is he de-transforming? At first Nappa thinks that's what's happening, but Raditz says he's not de-transforming, he's transforming. He's becoming something else. Kakarot's there with red fur, longer black hair, and a couple other changes too. But he's completely regained his control. He's conscious, he knows who he is, and he has so much more power. Tao lands near him and smirks. Very good, he passed this lesson. Now, what is he gonna name this form? It's almost as if Tao knew that Kakarot had some other form locked away like this. And obviously he didn't, but he just wanted to see what Kakarot was capable of. Pushing his limits made this work. Now Kakarot obviously doesn't know about Super Saiyan 3, so he might just call this form Super Saiyan 3 or something like Grade Ape Super Saiyan. Obviously, it's Super Saiyan 4 though, so that's what we're gonna call it here. Just know that he probably wouldn't call it that. He's gonna have to train more with this form. And even though Tao doesn't want him to use transformations in the tournament, still, Kakarot knowing what his true power is, it allows him to get a better sense of himself. And even when not using a transformation, that's a good way to find more power within him, and increase his mental fortitude as well. Raditz and Nappa continuously train, and they know they're probably not going to get Super Saiyan 4 for themselves. So, they keep working on Super Saiyan 2, and maybe they can go beyond that. The tournament arrives. Raditz and Nappa join. But there's also a lot of other familiar faces there. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu, Piccolo, all of them are there too, trying to work further on their power. By now, they of course know that Kakarot's back on the planet. They've even seen him a bit during this time. Though, since none of them are truly allies with Kakarot, it's not like they spend a lot of time with him. Ironically, Krillin was the last of them to meet Kakarot, and he's probably the one who knows Kakarot the best out of them. Though, the bar is really low, so he still doesn't really know Kakarot that well. But he meets Kakarot before the tournament and says he looks forward to facing him again. And Kakarot's glad. It looks like all of them grew a lot stronger. At some point in one of the first rounds, Spopovich and Yamu try to steal energy from Kakarot, but that doesn't work, so they realize something else is going on here. And that's when Shin and Kibito get involved. Since Spopovich and Yamu couldn't get energy, they retreat. Shin and Kibito try to quickly explain what's going on, and Kakarot meets the Kais. They were mainly going to try and get help from Krillin and his crew, but the Saiyans here kind of complicates things, because they know that the Saiyans aren't particularly good, but it seems like they get along with everyone else at least, so maybe this could work out. On top of that, they are the strongest people here. So everyone I just mentioned heads out together. Tao is in the tournament too, and he decides to stay back. Whatever's going on doesn't involve him, and he doesn't need to hold Kakarot's hand throughout it. They arrive at Babidi's ship. Dabura immediately attacks, going after Raditz, but Raditz quickly powers up into Super Saiyan 2, defending against him and beginning to fight. And when the two of them start fighting, Raditz gets really happy. Shin tells him to try and make it quick because Babidi could get more energy, and it could revive Majin Buu. Raditz is a bit more cautious as a fighter than the people around him, so he actually listens to this. But he's happy because this is a fight that's on his level. Dabura is just about his exact strength right now. So the two continue battling, and once Raditz realizes that he's had his fun, he tags in Nappa, who also goes Super Saiyan 2. Babidi got a little bit of energy from this, but Raditz and Nappa quickly finish off Dabura together, and they all infiltrate the ship. This makes Babidi panic. He only has like 15% of the energy he needs, and his strongest warrior just got killed. Puipi and Yakan fall pretty quick too, so he tries to take over someone as a new servant. And he's able to get into the heads of Raditz and Nappa, possessing them and making them become Majin. They have a lot of their own insecurities that he can explore, and they definitely do still have some evil in their heart, even if it's less than before. But remember, they're not good guys, they're just kind of like neutral now. But they feel they've fallen so far behind Kakarot, and their lives have been derailed by everything that's been going on in the past decade or so. They should be thriving as Saiyans, but they don't feel like they are, so they want to go back to their old selves for a bit. Majin, Raditz, and Nappa are born, and Babidi tries to take over Kakarot too, but he resists. He's not going to fall for it, and you know what? This will make it more interesting for him. So, the two Kais want him to end this fight quickly, don't they? He might take a little bit of time here, just to test them out. He tells Krillin that he and his friend should go after Babidi, while he'll fight Raditz and Nappa. Kakarot then turns Super Saiyan 4. And with them having the Majin boost and how much stronger they've grown over the past few years, they're able to actually put up a pretty decent fight, but Super Saiyan 4 makes the gap really big. And they're glad Kakarot isn't holding anything back. But they see pretty quickly that even with this boost, it's not enough. Babidi is getting a lot of energy from this fight, but Krillin's crew is able to find him and kill him. He has about 60% of the energy he needs for Boo, and he could actually just revive him right now with a lot less energy, but with him dead, now the container needs to hit 100% if it actually wants to open on its own. This makes Shin nervous because he knows Kakarot's going to keep on fighting, although he doesn't. He actually ends it pretty quickly, mainly because he tested out their power and realized that the fight's not really going to go anywhere, defeating Raditz and Nappa, and they turn back to normal. And besides, even if Boo was revived, he wouldn't be a challenge for someone like Kakarot. Shin thanks everyone for their help, including the Saiyans. He finds Kakarot really fascinating. He's not a heroic warrior or a virtuous fighter like the other people around here, but he's clearly no sort of villain. He's like a perfect neutral. He just fights to grow stronger and doesn't care who gets in the way, but values his rivals and such. He's got all the qualities of a great warrior, but doesn't lean too much into a good or an evil side. Krillin's definitely noticed this too, and especially Tien, who saw Kakarot when he was fully evil beforehand. He's a really interesting guy. Raditz and Nappa even expect Kakarot to be angry at them. They did willingly give in to Babidi after all, but Kakarot says it's fine. He gets why they would do it. He almost did himself. He just had a more fortified mind, and that just proves he's better. Plus, it allowed him to have a pretty good fight with them. Oh yeah, and as for the tournament, since a lot of the contestants left, it completely changed into a battle royale, and Tao won pretty easily. But what happens after this? Dabber's been missing from the Demon Realm for a while, and of course everyone hears about his death, including Goma, so he decides to act. He goes for the Dragon Balls on Earth, but the Guardian there is actually pretty strong. Sure, Kami's still the one who's tied to the Dragon Balls, but Krillin is basically always with Kami on the lookout. So when they try and get the Dragon Balls, even with Neva's help, Krillin's able to deter them pretty quickly. And just to avoid getting killed, Goma decides to retreat. Degasu follows along, and Neva's just surprised he gave up that easily. Besides, they might have other options out there. The old Namek is gone, but maybe he could find the new one. There's definitely more Namekians out there. But he's not the only one out in space searching for new Namek. Vegeta's out there too. He's been searching for so long, and he finally might have a lead. But more importantly, there's a strong foe he's going to face first, before Kakarot or even Goma. Kakarot trains on Earth with Raditz and Nappa, and Rinsu's trying to plan her next move. She wants to take the throne, but isn't really sure how. She could convince people to come to the Demon Realm to get the Dragon Balls for herself, but she's not sure if that's going to work. Goma already went to Earth, and something prevented him from getting the Dragon Balls there, so clearly the people on Earth are going to be too tough to deal with, which would probably include trying to convince them to come to the Demon Realm, especially without them having been turned small. It's not like they really have a reason to go there. So she doesn't send Gloria to Earth, and she decides to make her own warriors instead. But Boo wasn't freed here, so she doesn't have a sample from him. Marbra might be able to make another one, though. She was able to make Boo herself, after all, so even if they don't have a piece of Boo, she can at least try and make some other strong warrior. Maybe even try and remake Boo from scratch. So she gets Marbra to start. Thankfully they're not short on time, so Marbra could work for as long as she needs. Far removed from the Demon Realm, out in space, Goma's about to head to Namek, but he made a detour first. He, Neva, and Degasu felt a strong magical presence, and that magical presence felt them too. They come across a wizard in space, who is clearly trying to trick them into doing something. He has a music box that he's trying to break open, saying there's a strong threat that's about to attack, and they need to open this music box and free the warrior inside. He's the only person that could stop that threat. But the three of them aren't stupid, and they can see through Hoi's deception. They ask what's really inside that box, and Hoi says it's actually a warrior in there. Neva analyzes it himself a little bit. What Hoi's saying is true, but he does feel an evil presence within it as well. Degasu then grabs Hoi and chokes him, asking him to explain before they kill him. And it doesn't take much for him to break. They find out what his true motives are, and they don't actually kill him or anything. No, Goma thinks this is a great idea. He'll help Hoi free that monster, if Hoi will help him too. He has the help of 3 other magicians, and even with Neva alone, he could probably break that box open. Goma simply wants the Dragon Balls on New Namek, and Goma wants to learn more about this monster. In his mind, they could free this monster and use it as a distraction. He doesn't anticipate any strong warriors on Namek, but just in case they do show up, this monster will keep them at bay. And if anyone from Earth comes there, this monster can take care of them too. That way Goma can get the Dragon Balls and use them to wish for the third eye. Let's actually go over to New Namek though. Around the time that this is happening, somebody else lands on the planet. Vegeta. He's finally found it after all this time. And he's looking for the Dragon Balls, although he's not even really sure if he wants them anymore. He's been looking for them and has spent a ton of time training too. But now he's kind of thinking to himself, what's the point of getting the Dragon Balls? He's already really strong as is, and he's honestly not even too sure if he wants to wish for power or anything. He could maybe wish to be immortal or something, but who knows? Is he just getting the Dragon Balls to prove to himself that he could? Does he actually want to be immortal? Does he want to wish for strength or something? He's not even too sure himself. But he's come to the conclusion that maybe he's going to wish for immortality. So he begins searching for the Dragon Balls. Although he encounters some trouble pretty quickly. The Namekians are instantly prepared, feeling his strength as he arrives on the planet. When Vegeta finds the first village, a warrior Namekian appears in front of him. It's Nail. He spent a ton of time training, and on top of that, he's actually merged with a bunch of other warriors at the same time. This is their plan to defend the planet right now. All their warriors have grown a lot stronger, but in the event that they fight a foe who might be too strong for them, all the Namekians will merge together like this. And once that battle is won, they could just unfuse with the Dragon Balls. Vegeta doesn't expect Nail to put up much of a fight, but Nail attacks Vegeta while he's in base, and his power is pretty overwhelming, so Vegeta turns Super Saiyan, but even that's not enough. And he then showcases Super Saiyan 2 to Nail. Nail knew there were Saiyans out there, but he didn't expect one to show up here, though with his strength, he's confident he could defend against Vegeta. Even with Super Saiyan 2, it's not enough for Vegeta to be stronger than Nail, but if he just gets a little bit stronger, he can surpass Nail. And thankfully, this isn't his final form, not even close. Vegeta then starts charging more energy, and transforms once more, showing off Super Saiyan 3. Since Vegeta has lost his tail by now, Super Saiyan 3 is going to have the same flaw that it normally does, but still, it's Super Saiyan 3. It is really powerful, strong enough to overwhelm Nail, to a noticeable degree. And Vegeta's about to finish the battle off by killing Nail, but then they both feel a strong presence. The entire planet feels like it's shaking, and there's a giant pillar of smoke in the distance. They're not sure what it is, they think it's smoke and debris, but it's a different type of smoke. The smoke then swirls around and forms into something else. It looks like two legs of something, but then far away in the opposite direction, they see something similar. It looks like some giant monster, this time the top half. Nail and Vegeta are both equally confused and a little concerned too. Nail because there's another threat here, and Vegeta because someone else might be after the Dragon Balls. And just by looking at the two halves of the monster, it's pretty clear that they both belong to the same thing. Goma has one half of Hirudegarn with him, and Hoi has the other half. Of course, this means Tapion's been freed too, and no one there is strong enough to kill him because even though they're great magicians, Tapion is a lot stronger physically. He of course tries playing as Ocarina, but while they can't really kill Tapion, they could easily destroy that. Goma was aware that they'd free some other strong warrior, but he is a little bit concerned about Tapion. It doesn't matter though. Hirudegarn is freed and soon, both of the halves will merge. The two halves of Hirudegarn then turn to a pillar of smoke. Halfway in between them is Nail and Vegeta, and the two plumes of smoke merge together above them, combining into the full Hirudegarn. Quickly, Tapion flies over, and he's glad to see two strong warriors there. The presence of these two feels strong. Though he is pretty lost right now because he doesn't know where he is or who these people are, just that he needs to defend whatever this planet is. He doesn't know if these two are good people either. One of them has energy that definitely feels malicious, but for Nail, his energy feels good. At least Tapion doesn't need to fight alone. He thought it would be hopeless if it was just him, but maybe these two can help. And Vegeta doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not going to help anyone. He doesn't even know what's going on here. Tapion explains a little more, and Nail decides to join him. But Tapion also mentions something else. One of the people that freed him mentions something about Dragon Balls, and he doesn't know what those are. But that guy's after them. This concerns Nail, and then it immediately gets Vegeta to join the fight too. Okay, now he's got his attention. No one else is getting the Dragon Balls on his watch. He's not sure if this monster's going to try and get them, or if he's just a pawn of somebody else that's trying to get the Dragon Balls. Regardless, this monster is clearly in his way, so they'll have to kill it. Tapion and Nail fly into battle, leaving Vegeta behind. And Vegeta's really mad because, first of all, he just beat Nail and he was about to kill him. But now someone might be going after his Dragon Balls, though he doesn't really need to join them. Maybe Hirudegarn will be a distraction. Vegeta then tries to fly away, but Hirudegarn blocks him. And Hirudegarn is actually pretty powerful, surprising Vegeta. Looks like he is actually going to have to fight this guy. And you know what? Maybe that's not too much of a bad thing. First off, Vegeta wasn't really sure if he wanted the Dragon Balls in the first place, and second of all, a Saiyan like him won't turn down a good fight like this. So Vegeta reluctantly starts fighting alongside Tapion and Nail. A really disjointed combination of fighters who don't really know how to fight alongside each other. But hey, at least they're strong. Now with Hirudegarn freed, Goma's crew is free to go get the Dragon Balls, with Hoi joining alongside them. Goma asks Neva to help, and it shouldn't be too hard for him to do so. And that's what he does. He lifts a hand up, and it doesn't really take too long for him to summon all the Dragon Balls to his direction. Across Namek, all the other villagers don't know how to react. First, Vegeta showed up, and their strongest warrior is fighting him. They don't have any other warriors left because they merge into Nail. Second, all the Dragon Balls just started randomly flying around. Mori tries to summon them back, but it doesn't work. Whoever's taken the Dragon Balls has much stronger magic than him. All the Dragon Balls swirl above, and then land in front of Goma. And since this is Namek, Neva would know the password for the Dragon Balls. But before they even activate the Dragon Balls, another Namekian runs over, trying to get the Dragon Balls himself. It's Dende. But then Goma attacks him. Despite not being that strong right now, Goma is still strong enough to fight Dende. He'll hold Dende back, and the others will make the wish for him. Though, it might just be easier to kill him on the spot. Goma gets ready to execute him, but then Dende vanishes, and everyone else there is blinded. Though they can't see, they can feel another strong presence next to them, and the presence feels kind of familiar to Goma. He feels a mix of confusion and terror because, why is he here? Their vision clears, and Krillin's standing there. He was training with Shin and used the Kai to teleport here, for multiple reasons. For one, Hirudegarn was there. Second, they knew Goma was still out there, and Krillin's gonna stop him once and for all. Especially after telling Shin about the encounter, he told Krillin to be wary. Goma yells to Neva to summon the dragon now, but he can't even finish his sentence. Krillin quickly launches a ki blast at Goma, completely incinerating him. Amidst his training on the sacred world of Kais, Krillin also did break the Z-Sword, so Elder Kai was there with them, and they were watching everything that happened here, so he knows Boy is evil too. Quickly launching a blast at him as well, killing him with ease. It's not like he even needed to use his full power here because Elder Kai did give him some other help. He doesn't kill Degasu out of respect for Shin, and for Neva, well, he simply chuckles and surrenders. Looks like he doesn't need to summon the dragon anymore without Goma here. Degasu panics and leaves, and Neva follows alongside him. But he does turn to Krillin, and ominously, he wishes him good luck. He seems like a pretty good guardian of his planet. He does feel bad about unleashing this terror on Namek, but something told him it wouldn't really amount to much. That is also why he took his time with the Dragon Balls. Those strong warriors will probably defeat him, and Dende can restore the damage with the Dragon Balls. And Krillin does remember Dende from that last time he came to Earth. Dende explains where Nail is, and there's two other strong warriors here, and Krillin already knows. He was watching through a crystal ball. He knows nothing about Tapion, but he at least seems like a good guy. Though, he does know who Vegeta is. Krillin tells Dende to not summon the dragon yet. Do that once the battle is finished, so he can unfuse Nail, and then restore any damage if he needs to. Krillin Kai-Kai's over to where the others are fighting. Nail looks over and is glad to see Krillin here, and Tapion feels a bit of relief because though he doesn't know this guy, it looks like he's here to help. And Vegeta's just wondering how and why he's here. Great, he's gonna have to team up with that guy too? Vegeta says he might be able to summon enough power to destroy that monster in one hit. By now, Hirudegarn has transformed as well. He asks the other three if they could distract him, hold the monster off while Vegeta prepares an attack. They don't really have another choice, so they do that. And with their combined might, they're actually able to hold him off for a bit. Vegeta tries charging energy in Super Saiyan 3, but the form is pretty inefficient and the ki is draining, so he doesn't waste any more time and just launches his attack, flying as fast as he can towards Hirudegarn and punching straight through him, then quickly turning around and launching a Gamma Burst Flash. He punched through him just at the right time so Hirudegarn couldn't dodge it. Vegeta knows by now when he's going to have an opening, and with this blast, he defeats the monster for good. The sky then turns dark. At first, Vegeta thinks it's because the monster turned into smoke and he's now taking over the whole planet or something. Great. But no, Krillin and Nail know what this is. Vegeta's looking around, and after a few seconds, he sees Purunga in the distance. Then, a bunch of Namekians peer around him, unfusing from Nail, and all the damage around them is reversed. Vegeta tries to fly over to Purunga, but it's already too late. He disappears. Just to use up a third wish, Dende wishes to heal everyone, and Vegeta instantly feels it too. The Dragon Balls spread out once more, so now they're going to be inactive for a little bit, and even if they were active, Vegeta doesn't have the password. He turns back at the group, and he sorta expects them to fight him, though he did notice one weird thing about Krillin. Last time he saw Krillin he wasn't that strong, but this time, he feels different. The dots on his head were glowing too. He powered up during this fight, unleashing his potential, using his ultimate form. Not that Vegeta knows about it. Krillin tells Vegeta to not do anything stupid. They don't have to fight, and he's not sure why Vegeta wants the Dragon Balls. Honestly, Vegeta's not even too sure either. He's pretty strong as is, and that fight just proved it. He still does want to kill the other Saiyans, but maybe he doesn't need to be immortal to do it. He is quite strong as is, and it would be more fulfilling to kill them with his own power. He tells Krillin fine. He'll leave this planet and not kill anyone else, but only if Krillin answers one thing for him. How powerful is Kakarot right now? Well, Krillin says he's really strong. He also has Super Saiyan 3, and so do Raditz and Nappa. Really? Raditz and Nappa are back and they got Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3? For Kakarot, it doesn't really surprise him, but it seems like the other two are keeping up as well. Fine, he'll officially consider them traitors too, but Krillin says there's something else. Kakarot not only has Super Saiyan 3, he has a form beyond that, Super Saiyan 4. One that can only be accessed by a Saiyan with a tail, apparently, at least as far as Krillin knows. And this just makes Vegeta kinda angry, knowing he doesn't have a tail, and considering the guy right in front of him is the one who's responsible for it. Which is partially why Krillin said it. Fine. Who cares if Kakarot has Super Saiyan 3, 4, or even if he unlocks a 5th one or something? Vegeta will keep training and growing stronger, and one day, he'll have his rematch. He'll kill the other two as well. And who knows, maybe next time he shows up on Earth, he'll kill Krillin too. But for now, he'll let him be. Though before he leaves, he does say he's impressed with how strong Krillin's grown. He kinda says it in a mocking way though, because Krillin's still weaker than him. But still, it seems like he's a pretty serious warrior. And that was a really strange encounter for everyone. Krillin makes sure everything on the planet's okay, says his goodbye to Nail and Dende, and teleports back to Shin to train more. Namek is actually fine too, though Tapion really has nowhere to go, so he stays on Namek for the time being. He explains his story to the Namekians there, and they welcome him on the planet for being a hero in the past. Mori actually consults the Namekian Book of Legends and finds record of it in there too. confirming that this guy truly is a storied figure, a hero from long ago. But some other interesting things are happening around Universe 7. On Earth, Red Pharmaceuticals pays Tao for a job, breaking someone out of prison, Dr. Hedo, the grandson of Dr. Gero, though they're not really too sure what they're going to use him for yet, and as for Tao, he's not too concerned, he just wants the paycheck. But, far away and unbeknownst to everyone else, Beerus finally awakens. Now's the time for him to meet his rival. But who will that rival be? After waking up, Beerus goes to where the most Saiyans are. Whis says that 3 of them are on planet Earth, with the strongest one apparently being one named Kakarot. He's also part android, if that matters. And to Beerus it does. Interesting. A strong Saiyan, one who's been modified as well. He definitely wants to fight him. Beerus and Whis go to Earth, and it doesn't take too long for them to encounter Kakarot, as well as Raditz and Nappa. Tao is present too, and he wants to watch along. He's not really terrified of Beerus, and nor is Kakarot. He doesn't know who he is. Raditz and Nappa might have a vague idea of who he is from Vegeta, so they're probably scared, and tell Kakarot not to take him lightly. But this is good. If Beerus truly is way stronger than him, this will be a good opportunity for Kakarot to test out his full power. He goes Super Saiyan 4, and a fight between the two of them begins. Beerus learns more about who Kakarot is and how he got here, and why he's back on Earth now. This form is definitely one he's never seen from a Saiyan before. Actually, he didn't even know they had forms besides Great Ape in general. So maybe a Super Saiyan God isn't a stretch, even though Kakarot says he has no clue what a Super Saiyan God is. But Beerus is starting to see that the Super Saiyan God probably isn't a person, rather just a form, one that Kakarot hasn't accessed yet. Though Beerus is a bit disappointed because even though Kakarot is pretty powerful by mortal standards, compared to him, Kakarot is pretty much nothing. And he's clearly not a Super Saiyan God either. They don't even ask Shenron about the ritual or anything. Instead, Kakarot thinks that he could probably train for this form. Beerus tells him that godly power isn't to be taken that lightly. It's not something he could simply train for. But Kakarot says that all this power he's gained, everything in his life, he's worked for. The only thing he didn't really work for was the fact that he's part android, but that's only a small part of the reason for his growth, and in the grand scheme of things, it's his hard work that got him here. Beerus also says he doesn't know the first thing about the Super Saiyan God. So how can Kakarot train for it? Honestly, he's not sure. But he has a gut feeling that he can do it. He tells Beerus too. He's the strongest mortal right now, isn't he? And yeah, as far as Beerus and Whis know, there is no one stronger than him in Universe 7. And all things considered, his growth has been pretty rapid. So Kakarot asks for a chance to train under Whis. And Beerus is hesitant at first, but sure. He likes the way this Saiyan thinks. Fine, he'll let Kakarot train under Whis, but he'll give him a limited time frame. If he doesn't see any sort of improvement in Kakarot within a year, he'll destroy Kakarot. Actually, not just that. He'll destroy everything Kakarot knows here. Raditz and Nappa are terrified to hear this, but Kakarot accepts this as a challenge. And Tao is watching on still, pretty proud to see it. How ruthless of him. Tao definitely trained him right. But also, it's a confident way of going about his life. Kakarot goes to Beerus' planet to train under Whis. A few months pass, and somebody arrives on Earth. It's Vegeta. He's coming to fight Kakarot. But of course, Kakarot isn't here at the moment. Although, Raditz and Nappa are there. They encounter him right away. And really there's only one way this is gonna go. They're gonna fight, aren't they? Nappa and Raditz power up into Super Saiyan 2, and so does Vegeta. A battle begins, a 2v1. Right off the bat, Vegeta could tell that he is the strongest out of all of them. But it's a 2v1, so he still has a disadvantage. It forces him to go Super Saiyan 3. Thankfully, Nappa and Raditz have the same thing. Of course, it's not efficient for any of them. Vegeta's probably a little better with it than they are, but it's 2 Super Saiyan 3s versus 1 Super Saiyan 3. They do pretty well, and in the end, the battle concludes with a draw. Each of them lose so much ki that they drop out of Super Saiyan 3, and the battle never truly concludes. They all just go back down to base. Well, Vegeta can clearly see they all have the same problems with Super Saiyan 3. But still, he tells them not bad. He never would have expected them to grow strong, but even with their strength, they are still traitors at the end of the day. Nappa tells Vegeta it's not like they really had a choice. Kakarot brought them back. That is just how things went. And after all, Raditz says Vegeta was just going to basically leave them dead. Why does he care if they're alive and somewhere else? And you know, that is true. Vegeta isn't really sure of his next move. Maybe it was a mistake to abandon them. He wouldn't have expected them to grow this strong. He thought they'd just hold him back if anything. But he's come to see that maybe if he kept them around, he could have grown really strong. Maybe beyond Kakarot. Clearly having training partners does work out well for him, even though he has some other advantages on his side. Vegeta doesn't really have anyone close to him. These past few years he's been all alone, and even when he had Raditz and Nappa, he still kind of just felt lonely. And it's fine, he thrives in solitude, but maybe it wouldn't hurt to have some comrades. For Kakarot it worked, and speaking of Kakarot, that's a little bit different. He still needs to beat Kakarot no matter what. And once Kakarot returns from wherever he is, he'll be ready. Let's go over to Red Pharmaceuticals. They want to make a new android. With Dr. Hedo's help, they could probably recreate Android 13, although he of course wants to make the Gammas. None of the projects have been started just yet, but they're kind of just brainstorming everything. General Blue is involved, and Tao gets wind of this from him. But Tao doesn't stop it, nor does Blue. Blue knows that whatever happens, Kakarot will be able to stop it, and then Blue could take the throne. He could take over this company and take all their resources. He's kind of playing the long game by being part of it again. As for Tao, just like before, he's not directly part of the Red Ribbon crew. He's just a contracted mercenary. But he uses this as a test for Kakarot. He won't interfere. If Android 13 truly comes back and is stronger than ever, it might be a good challenge for him. After all, what kind of teacher would he be if he prevented Kakarot from fighting obstacles himself? He can't handle all that dirty work for him. Some months pass, and since Raditz and Nappa are left on Earth alone, Kakarot eventually returns there too. I guess it's his home now. He has been living there for a really long time, and that is kind of where he grew up after all. He does view it as a home at this point. It's a very strange thing. He wasn't originally from there, but he made it a home. Then he abandoned it, and then returned. But this time when he returns, there's another Saiyan there. One he didn't actually expect to see. It's Vegeta, waiting there to finally fight Kakarot once more. So, it seems like it's finally time then. The two already know how this is going to go. Kakarot assumes Vegeta wants this as a deathmatch, and that's exactly what Vegeta's thinking. The two start in base, then cycling through all their forms, eventually making it to Super Saiyan 3, which is where Vegeta starts seeing issues. Kakarot's base was already above his, and his Super Saiyan 3 is better than his. But it's not just that. Kakarot has a few more bonuses. He then goes Super Saiyan 4, expecting it to be a surprise to Vegeta, but no, he knew about this. Krillin actually spilled the beans a while ago. Good, so he's expecting to see this. Super Saiyan 4 Kakarot fights Vegeta, and Vegeta of course loses. He can't believe Kakarot is that far ahead. But Kakarot still has a form beyond that too, then showcasing the power of Super Saiyan God. Beerus and Whis are there too, and Vegeta's really shocked to see them. Well, these past few months, Vegeta did spend them on Earth, and he was actually sparring with Raditz and Nappa more and more. He was preparing for Kakarot to return so they could have a 1v1. But to think, he actually was training under the God of Destruction. It's incredible. Well, this is a deathmatch after all, so he accepts that this will be his death. But Kakarot doesn't really have a reason to kill Vegeta anymore. He really doesn't care at this point. Not to mention, since the strength gap is so huge, it wouldn't really feel right. Like, what's the point of executing someone so much weaker than him? Kakarot's mindset has definitely developed a lot. It's a strange moral code he has, if you could even call it that. Krillin isn't nearby, but he actually is watching. He's on the lookout with Kami. It's interesting to see how Kakarot's grown. It seems Earth is actually rubbing off on him. To think, he was a ruthless Saiyan before, and he probably could have grown up that way too, especially if things went differently in space. But returning to Earth mellowed him out. It even mellowed out someone like Tao, who's his teacher, the person who kind of made him the way he is. Krillin doesn't necessarily think Kakarot's a good guy. He's definitely not some upstanding citizen or whatever, much less any sort of heroic figure, or a person like Goku was for that matter. He's kind of just the epitome of power in Krillin's eyes. His sole focus is growing stronger. If people want to join him along the way, sure, he'll allow it. If people want to go against him, he doesn't have any qualms about killing them. But there's no point in spreading chaos and killing people randomly if it's just kind of for the fun of it. That isn't the type of Saiyan Kakarot is. He still has a lust for battle like Saiyans do, especially with his different upbringing here. But it's deeper than just wanting to fight all the time. He wants something to actually come out of these fights. Some sort of growth for himself, some sort of long-term rivalry. And he's really glad he found Beerus for that. Right now he's fulfilled. He knows he has a really high ceiling that he has to reach, that being Beerus, and even Whis beyond that. The others can plainly see this too. Vegeta and Beerus obviously knew of each other, and in his time training Kakarot, Whis was wondering if the other Saiyans could pull this off too, because Kakarot was able to pull it off even without knowing what he was doing. He kinda just assumed he could break his limits, and he did. He unlocked Super Saiyan God with no sort of ritual, without even knowing there was a ritual required for it. And you know, one thing Kakarot might need is motivation from others, people who are on his level of strength. There are 3 other Saiyans here, so Beerus was considering something, and he decides to go for it. He's bringing the other Saiyans to his planet, including Vegeta. The reason for this? He needs to push Kakarot even further. He'll watch these Saiyans grow, and he particularly wants Vegeta to grow because clearly his rivalry with Kakarot's a lot deeper. And if Vegeta truly does surpass Kakarot some way, well, it's going to be a feedback loop, the two of them continuously trying to surpass each other. And yeah, they're not allies, not by any means, but that's probably a good thing here. It's a genuine effort for them to grow stronger than the other, not a friendly rivalry, one motivated by more intense feelings. Now, Vegeta's a bit hesitant on this because he doesn't want to train alongside these people. Raditz and Nappa are one thing. They kind of betrayed him, but at the same time, what Nappa and Raditz said beforehand was also right. They didn't really have a choice in the matter. But as for Kakarot, well, he's been striving to beat him this entire time. He truly is a traitor. But also, this is his shot to beat Kakarot, so maybe it would be worth it. He promises he'll go beyond Super Saiyan God, and he doesn't even need Super Saiyan 4 like Kakarot has. He'll reclaim his position as the strongest Saiyan. A super elite like him has to be that powerful after all. There's no Resurrection F. Frieza's army is basically gone. And even if they were there, Krillin would stop anyone from using the Dragon Balls. He's teleporting back and forth between Earth and the Sacred World of Kai, growing far stronger thanks to training with Shin, and also still watching over Earth as the official guardian. Kami is still there too, but Krillin has been doing this full time essentially. He's the strongest Earthling, and besides the 4 Saiyans, he's actually the strongest mortal around. Well, as far as they know, and in Universe 7 only. But still, Krillin being number 5, it's kinda nice for him. Especially being Earth's guardian, he really needs to be powerful. Before Raditz and Nappa left for Beerus' planet, Krillin was actually on their level, and probably even close to Vegeta. Ultimate Krillin was actually number 3, but now he's back down to number 5 because of their training. Behind him is Piccolo, although he's not an Earthling. The strongest Earthling behind him is Tao, then Tien, then Blue, then Yamcha and Chaozu. And there have been times when Tien has sought out Tao and vice versa. The intense emotions between everyone have mellowed out, and everyone is mainly focused on growing as a warrior here. Their lives have all gone so differently that, really, that's the main goal. Not just for the Saiyans, but the Earthlings too. Eventually, Champa comes to Universe 7, and the Tournament of Destroyers begins. The team is pretty straightforward. The 4 Saiyans on Beerus' planet, and Krillin. Beerus decided to let Kakarot recruit the 5th fighter, and he thought Krillin would be the best fit. He is the strongest Earthling after all. And Krillin's glad. This will be a good opportunity for him to test out his skills. The tournament begins and Krillin's actually the first one up. And he does it really well. He defeats Matamo, he defeats Frost, he defeats Magetta, although he has to be a little different about it. He defeats Kaba, and he puts up a surprisingly good fight against Hit. Now, he's no match for Hit, but it's not like he gets defeated in one hit or anything. He holds his own for a bit, figures out how Hit operates, and then Hit eventually turns up the pressure and defeats him. And Beerus is really impressed. It's the first time he's formally meeting Krillin. He's Earth's guardian, and that technically makes him underneath Beerus. Just as every mortal is, but this is a little bit different. It's more of a hierarchy thing. He'll have to keep an eye on that Earthling, especially because he kinda likes Earth. They have some pretty great food there. The other Saiyans have Super Saiyan God now, and with all the time that's passed, they probably even tapped into Super Saiyan Blue. Kakarot definitely has at least, and I'd say Vegeta too. Raditz and Nappa are probably lagging a little bit behind, but I think they're on the cusp of it. Right after Krillin is Kakarot, and he's able to beat Hit. And it's not like he even has Kaioken here, he just beats him with a regular Super Saiyan Blue. And he employs a lot of his assassin tactics here too. It's a really interesting battle for Kakarot, not just because of Hit's power and his abilities, but the two of them are assassins. Kakarot doesn't necessarily do it for a living, but he was trained to be an assassin by Tao, and it's unique for him to see an assassin from another universe. The way his tactics work are completely different, and it kind of fits with his own fighting style. Hit is impressed with Kakarot's tactics too. First of all, he was able to figure out how to counter Hit's time skip, but second, they're both very skilled assassins. He hopes to see more of Kakarot, and Kakarot feels the same way. And it gets Kakarot thinking, what if he started training elsewhere? Like other universes maybe? It could be an interesting opportunity. Not long after the recent tournament, Kakarot asked Beerus for a pretty interesting favor. He wants to go to Universe 6. Why? To see the Saiyans? Nope, to see Hit. Immediately Beerus is a little confused and also a bit angry because why Hit of all people? He's an assassin that's messing with time. Don't tell him. Kakarot's trying to mess with time himself. Well, no, not exactly. Kakarot just says that the two of them have a similar upbringing in terms of training to be an assassin. Granted, he doesn't know anything about Hit's upbringing or anything beyond the fact that he's an assassin. But still, Kakarot has an idea. He wants to train under Hit. Or at the very least, spar with him. It's the next natural step for him. Well, as long as he's not messing with time, Beerus assumes that it won't hurt. Hit is over 1,000 years old after all, so maybe there are some things he could teach Kakarot. Though he doesn't get why he doesn't just want to stay with Whis. And he does. He's just going to do this temporarily. You know, just to see if there's anything else he could pick up on in terms of being an assassin. Not that he's really an assassin anymore, but all those abilities are pretty helpful when it comes to fighting in general, so Hit's definitely the best person to check with in regards to that. But he's only letting him go for a limited amount of time, only about half a year. If he doesn't show any improvement, he's immediately coming back to train under Whis, and he's going to have to make up for the lost time. That's fine with him. As long as he grows stronger, that's all he cares about. He seeks out Hit to train with him, and it's a lot easier said than done. It's not like Champa or Vados are going to help out, so Kakarot actually has to find him himself. This takes a few weeks, but eventually, he's able to locate Hit. Hit thinks that Kakarot's here to kill him or something, but no, he's actually here to train with him. Really? That leaves Hit just as confused as Beerus was. He's never been a teacher, but for a price, he doesn't see why he can't do that. I mean, it would be work for him. All he cares about is getting paid in the end, so if Kakarot has the money, he doesn't mind. Oh, well, Kakarot doesn't really have money. Okay, so how can he get money in Universe 6? Hit says that he's going to have to take up his own mercenary jobs. Consider it an initiation too. Getting money's the first step, and then paying Hit's the second step. Sure, whatever he says. Kakarot racks his mind trying to figure out what to do, and eventually decides to go to planet Sadala. Kaba's there, and he remembers that he was in the military apparently. They didn't really interact much during the tournament, but Kakarot did talk to him beforehand, so maybe Kaba will know something. And Kappa's glad to see Kakarot, and it's really weird that he came here and is immediately looking for a job. But Kakarot explains what he's doing, and that sounds kind of crazy. But Kappa will help him out. He might be able to get some mercenary work for the Sadala Defense Force because that is who Kappa works for. And he's not looking to do anything long, just any quick job that he could do. Well, Kappa says they do need to go after Frost now, so if Kakarot can capture him, he'll get a nice bounty. Easy enough for Kakarot. He spends a few days, and he locates Frost, defeating him pretty easily and bringing him back alive. They're all amazed at how quick he worked, and Frost doesn't even know how this guy got here. He thought he was from Universe 7. King Sadala wanted him to face justice, but it's not like anyone's really strong enough to go up against him, so it's probably better off if they just got rid of him. He is a genocidal psychopath after all, so Kakarot's up for the job. And he kills Frost. Weird, this is like the first true mercenary job that he's done. He's got to tell Tao when he gets back. Kakarot gets a nice payday out of this, and he gains status among the Saiyans here. He's very well respected for his strength, though he's clearly different from everyone in Universe 6. There are 2 Saiyans that actually do want to speak to him, but Kakarot's long gone by the time that they even get the chance to speak with him. It's Caulifla dragging Kale along too. Caulifla heard that apparently this guy was a really strong Saiyan, so she wanted to figure out how to become strong just like that. Hopefully he comes back to this planet someday. Because for now, that just leaves Kappa as one of the strongest. And Kakarot's really happy. That was a pretty fun job, and also he got a ton of money for it. Frost was a renowned criminal after all. And technically he did a good thing. Not that he really cares about that part. All that matters is that he got a good experience out of it, and now he could finally train under Hit. He finds Hit, tells him exactly what he did, and Hit's pretty impressed. Frost was relatively strong. Of course, not comparable to Hit, and not even comparable to Kakarot either. But still, the fact that he tracked him down that quickly and was able to kill him with ease, it's good. He shows promise. And he has a bunch of money now, even more than Hit asked for to train him. Kakarot's already wasted about 2 months here in this universe, first trying to find Hit, and then trying to find a job and get money. So he trains with Hit for about 4 months, and it actually does make him strong enough so that when Beerus comes to pick him up, he can see Kakarot's grown a significant amount. And you know what? He's impressed. He lets Kakarot train further, although he's only going to give him another 6 months. Then he's going to have to return to Whis, and they're going to keep working on what Whis was teaching him. Not to mention, Beerus says it's not really the same with just the other Saiyans there. Of the 3 training under Whis, Vegeta's the strongest, and all of them are trying to surpass Kakarot, but without him there, it's a little bit of a strange situation. But the mystery also makes them train even harder because, who knows, Kakarot could be so far beyond them by now that if they don't take things seriously, they'll never catch up. But at the moment, those 3 are the main students for Whis right now. And they look forward to Kakarot's return, but Beerus tell them to enjoy Universe 6 for the time being. And this actually works out perfectly. By the time Kakarot comes back, Vegeta, Raditz, and Nappa immediately want to fight him to figure out how strong he's gotten, but there's an announcement from Zeno. Looks like they won't even need to fight. They'll get to see Kakarot's strength in a new tournament, the Tournament of Power. The issue is, this time they need a team of 10, and they only have a few days to gather people. Well, that's not too hard. They already have 5 right off the bat, just the same crew that joined the last tournament. Kakarot, Raditz, Nappa, Vegeta, and Krillin. Plus, all of them must have grown a lot stronger, so the team's looking pretty good already. They still need 5 more though. Okay, well, Kakarot thinks they should recruit Tao. That's pretty obvious. Then there's also that Tien guy. Krillin vouches for him too, and also says they should recruit Piccolo. So that makes 8. And you know what? Kakarot says that Krillin should be the leader here. He is Guardian of Earth, and he definitely knows a lot more strong people than Kakarot does. Like, for Kakarot, it's quality over quantity, but Krillin definitely knows more in quantity. Alright, that's kind of a backhanded compliment for the Earthlings, but whatever. Although, Krillin's idea of who to recruit next isn't actually an Earthling. Actually, neither of the choices he has are Earthlings. And Vegeta can't believe he didn't think of it. Krillin first recruits Nail on Namek, and, on the same planet, he recruits Tapion. Krillin barely knows Tapion, and he doesn't really know Nail too well, but he's interacted with him enough where Nail would definitely want to help. And Tapion's grateful for everyone's help against Rudigarn, so he's gonna join. Not to mention, they're trying to defend the universe after all, so of course he's gonna want to help. Now, not many of them know who Nail is besides the people from Earth, and no one really knows who Tapion is besides Vegeta. And Vegeta did meet Nail too. Raditz and Nappa wonder how Vegeta knows those guys, and Vegeta says it's a long story. Neither of them are as strong as him, but still, he quietly says to himself that he remembers them being good warriors. He says it just quietly enough so no one hears the compliment. Well, Kakarot thinks this is a really interesting team because they have 2 people that they barely know how to fight with, and then the Saiyans kind of do their own thing. Plus, there's the people from Earth, and Tao kind of operates on his own too. Krillin, Tien, and Piccolo should at least work well together. But back on Earth, Blue is pretty bummed because he wanted to join the tournament, and I'm sure Yamcha is too. But for Blue, at least he has a job going right now. The android that Heto's developing is coming along pretty well. It's actually nearly complete. He doesn't tell anyone here about the tournament, but had the tournament come a little bit later, who knows, maybe he could have joined and that android could have joined too. But now, the Tournament of Power begins. Though Universe 7's team is pretty weird in terms of who's on the roster, it is pretty powerful. Krillin is far stronger than he is in the main story. I'd say Tien is too. For Tao, that goes without saying as well. Besides Krillin, he's actually the strongest human. As for Piccolo, he's definitely going to be weaker than where he was normally, and I'd say Nail's around his level. For Tapion, it's kind of weird to place where he'd be. Over these years on Namek, he definitely would want to grow a lot stronger, especially after what just happened with Rudigarn. If there were any threats that he had to face, he wanted to be strong enough to win. So he took training very seriously. I'd say he's just below Krillin's level. Of course, Raditz, Nappa, and Vegeta all have Super Saiyan Blue by now. And as for Kakarot, that's also his highest form. For Vegeta, we'll say he's around the same strength as Vegeta in the main story. Even though so many things went different, I don't think that's really unreasonable. Raditz and Nappa are below him, but not by a significant amount. As for Kakarot, well, he's so far ahead in terms of his training, and he's an android. Plus, his training with Hit actually helped him pick up some new abilities. In terms of strength, even with just Super Saiyan Blue, I'd say he's noticeably stronger than Goku from the main story. One thing that he never realized is that Super Saiyan 4 actually drew out some of his potential. So despite him not even using that form anymore, unlocking that form alone kind of boosted him in a way. He's trying to see what's beyond Super Saiyan Blue right now. He was thinking maybe trying to combine it with Super Saiyan 4 somehow. It would just be God plus Super Saiyan plus Great Ape. But he hasn't gotten around to it. For Vegeta, he's been trying to go beyond Blue in his own way. And he did want to try and get Super Saiyan 4 for himself, but he gave up on that. Though as the tournament continues, he can clearly see that Kakarot's already way beyond him, and he's only going to continue to keep growing. For Universe 6, since Frost is dead, I have no clue who they get on their team as the next person. Not like it's really going to matter because it's probably going to be someone weak anyways. You know what? It's Botama's twin sister, Botama. Real ones remember Toppo and Topet. Not too long into the tournament, Kakarot ends up facing Hit. Even though Hit trained him, and he's grown fond of Kakarot, still, Kakarot's an obstacle to him. They're both fighting for their own survival. And Kakarot's fine with fighting Hit here, but Kakarot makes a promise with Hit. Whoever dies has to revive the other. And Hit's fine with that, but he tells Kakarot not to hold anything back, and he won't. The two of them begin their fight, and with the battle being full power, Kakarot significantly overpowers Hit. Pretty quickly into their training, Hit realized that Kakarot was actually stronger than him physically. Most of their training relied on giving Kakarot new techniques, and Kakarot does use some of them here, using time abilities similar to Hit. He can't use them as well as Hit can, but still is a huge advantage against any opponent. The gods are all appalled seeing this, and Beerus nearly loses his mind too. He told Kakarot not to mess with time, but of course that's exactly what he was learning in Universe 6. Though Zeno thinks it's kind of cool, so he allows it, and Beerus breathes a sigh of relief, so does Champa. Kakarot ends up defeating Hit, and he'll keep his promise. He'll win, and he'll revive all the strong warriors he has to defeat. He's about to go fight the Saiyans too, but Raditz and Nappa have already got that handled, while Vegeta's aiming pretty high. He goes for Jiren. That of course isn't really going to turn out well. With Super Saiyan Blue, he thinks he'll be able to make a dent, but he barely makes Jiren flinch. Raditz and Nappa actually defeat the other Saiyans pretty quickly. Thankfully, Kale doesn't go berserk here, and they join in with Vegeta. It's so strange for him to be fighting alongside them. He's so used to fighting on his own. Not to mention, he never thought he'd team up with them in general. Not just in the sense that he's fighting alongside them right now, but the fact that he's even an ally with them. Frankly, he thought they'd stay dead forever. But you know, this isn't so bad. Universe 7 is doing pretty well during the rest of the tournament. Krillin faces Toppo, and Tapion's alongside him. Nail fights along Piccolo, and they face the Universe 6 Namekians, though they end up losing because those two are actually a lot stronger. But they aren't knocked out right away. Tao comes in to save them, and Tien helps too. It's a 4v2, and they end up defeating those two. Kakarot wants to fight Jiren, but he'll let Vegeta have his fun. Jiren pretty quickly defeats Vegeta, as well as Raditz and Nappa. Beerus gets really worried because he just lost 3 of his strongest warriors. Those were number 2, 3, and 4 in terms of strength. They're gonna have to rely on Kakarot to defeat Jiren. So Kakarot slowly walks up to him, starting out in base and immediately jumping into Super Saiyan 4. This gets his blood pumping, and then while he's Super Saiyan 4, he transforms into his Super Saiyan Blue. It doesn't combine the forms, it simply swaps them. But he's noticed that when he does this, it retains some of the power of Super Saiyan 4 just for a little bit, giving him a nice boost. And he tries to fight Jiren at a range, coaxing him to launch a blast at him. And it works. Jiren tries to knock Kakarot out of the ring with a powerful blast, and Kakarot immediately throws both his hands in front of him, absorbing the attack. This fully recovers him. He didn't lose much stamina fighting Hit, but this blast puts him at 100%. And he has a little bit of overcharge too. That attack from Jiren was pretty powerful. He is a bit nervous, but it's nothing he can't handle. The two of them begin clashing at full power. Even with just Super Saiyan Blue, he's able to contend with Jiren, but Jiren is still suppressed right now. And remember, Kakarot also has a little bit of overcharge from Jiren's attack, and that fleeting power from Super Saiyan 4. But the fight eventually reaches its end. Even with Kakarot using time skip, and trying to trap Jiren in a time cage, it doesn't work. And Jiren doesn't use any Ki Blast here either. He shows off his full power, and is able to defeat Kakarot. But before Kakarot's knocked out of the ring, Tao then jumps in to try and attack Jiren. Of course, his attacks do nothing. He is pretty powerful, but compared to Jiren, he's nothing. Jiren has to hold back his power just to not kill Tao on accident. But he notices something weird. Tao's movements are so precise. And Beerus is really confused too. It's almost like he's using Ultra Instinct. But no, that doesn't make sense. And he isn't. But Tao is using similar principles here. He's honed his body so well that it basically moves on its own at this point. Not fully, but just enough so he could avoid Jiren's attacks. He's analyzed them so well, and he can anticipate every attack that's coming his way. Though, he's defeated pretty quickly. For his final attack, he charges all of his ki. He grabs the pillar in the middle of the ring, lifts it up, and then spins it around, tossing it right at Jiren, jumping on top, trying to use it as a battering ram of sorts. But Jiren grabs it with one hand, and sends his ki flying through it, basically turning it into a stick of dynamite. Tao is knocked out of the ring. But it was just enough of a distraction for Kakarot. Seeing this, and trying to focus on his own, while also remembering Whis' training, something finally clicks with Kakarot. His aura flares up significantly. He's not in Super Saiyan Blue anymore. His hair is black, but something's different about it. Tao watches on from the stands. He has no clue what this is, but Kakarot's body is starting to move on its own, far more precisely than Tao could do. And it's not just his defense, it's his offense too. Whis and Beerus are both mind blown. He's done it. He's unlocked Ultra Instinct. This is just the first stage of it though, but still, it's Ultra Instinct nonetheless. Combining it with the fact that Kakarot can use time control now, and the fact that he's notably stronger than Goku is, he's the ultimate warrior at this point, the strongest person in the ring. He defeats Jiren, and he still has a little bit of juice left in him. Before knocking Jiren out of the ring, he says this is nothing personal, but he's going to take some power to ensure that he gets his wish. He puts a hand on Jiren and absorbs some energy directly, before knocking him out of the ring. This gives him a second wind, fueling the newly acquired Ultra Instinct, as Kakarot quickly dashes around the ring, eliminating the rest of the opponents with ease. And just as he defeats the last one, he drops out of Ultra Instinct, incredibly tired, but victorious. And he gets to make his wish, revive all the other universes. Not just as a promise to hit, but he wants to see all the other strong warriors again. It could be an interesting opportunity. I mean, look how it turned out when he visited Universe 6. Who knows what the other universes have in store. The new and improved Android 13 is pretty much complete. Immediately after the Tournament of Power, he's unleashed. Hedo did build the Gammas too, but they're not going to be used here. It doesn't seem like Android 13 has any issues. All in all, he seems to be the perfect weapon. And on top of that, he's obedient. 13's supercomputer has studied everyone on Earth. A new one was built, this time by Hedo, so it's picked up on a bunch of new skills, and its main goal is to hunt Kakarot. Now, Red Pharmaceuticals isn't stupid. They know that Tao is an ally to Kakarot, and they're not too sure on General Blue's affiliation, but they know he's affiliated with Tao. But they've grown a lot of trust with Tao. He never betrayed them, and at the end of the day, he's there for a paycheck. Plus, he gives his word that he's not going to interfere with this. But it makes Hedo kind of confused. He knows Tao isn't really aligned with the Red Ribbon Army, and that he's Kakarot's teacher, so why is he allowing this? It seems like he actually does have respect for Kakarot and has some sort of allegiance with him. And that is true. But Tao knows that Hedo doesn't necessarily like 13 either, and the two of them both just worked for this company because they wanted the money from it. Hedo should understand better than anyone. And Tao didn't really have to do much anyways. He was basically security for them. He got paid for just sitting around. And he doesn't think this is an issue. This is a test for Kakarot, if anything. Really? He let them get away with making a killing machine just so he could test his student? Yeah, exactly. Kakarot will always be his student, but he considers this the ultimate test. If Kakarot can't survive this encounter, well, he's not fit to be an assassin like Tao. Sure, Tao probably can't survive this either. But Kakarot has raw power on his side. With a combination of that and his skills, he should be able to overcome this. But if not, then he's just brute strength. There's nothing much more to it. But he's confident in his student. He knows he can overcome this. And besides, Hedo should be happy about this too. Tao thinks that 13's defeat is very likely, and if that's the case, well, he got his funding to build the Gammas, and then Red Pharmaceuticals will just be taken over by General Blue. It's kind of a long game, so in a way, Hedo's going to benefit from it too. Well, he wishes Tao told him that earlier because then he would have built some weak spot to Android 13 or something. He's not fully obedient to Hedo, mainly Magenta. But whatever, if he's confident in Android 13, then so be it. That's a really weird way to go about teaching a student. Android 13 wastes no time. He goes immediately for the first power he could find, and that is Krillin. He has data on Krillin, a bunch actually. He finds the two of them training out in a wasteland. How fitting. The current Guardian of Earth and the former Guardian of Earth are right here. Krillin's really confused. Isn't this the android that they fought before? First of all, how is the Red Ribbon Army still active? And second, why is it an exact copy of Android 13? Piccolo says it shouldn't be a problem. He wouldn't mind getting to fight this android, especially with their new power-ups. Krillin powers up into Ultimate, and so does Piccolo. He also went to Elder Kai and got his potential unlocked. He's been training rigorously. Kakarot is his end goal, but for now, it's more like Krillin. The two of them have become pretty close rivals, and both have grown a ton. Android 13 scans them. The data goes right to the supercomputer. So it looks like these two are stronger than expected. Of course, they have a bunch of data on them, but it's not necessarily too up to date. It's about 1 to 2 years outdated. But it shouldn't matter. 13 is definitely strong enough to take them on. 13 does kind of underestimate them at first, though, because as the battle begins, it's apparent that these two have grown a ton, especially Piccolo now having Ultimate. The battle seems pretty quick. Krillin throws a Kienzan, cutting Android 13 in half. Now there's two Android 6.5s. Piccolo launches up in the air, charges a Ki Blast in both hands, and then throws it down. One half of 13 avoids it, but the other half gets incinerated. That was some good coordination. It didn't seem too hard. The remaining half of Android 13 does have his head. He floats up, and then regenerates his lower half. With clothes too, thankfully he's not naked. Alright, that's new. He is impressed with their power. He might actually have to bring out some more of his strength. You see, he's a better version of Android 13. They shouldn't even really call him Android 13 because that's kind of underselling what he's capable of. When it comes to looks, yeah, he's the exact same. But he's definitely not the same android. He's better, he's smarter, he's stronger, he has more abilities. He's perfect. He's the most perfect android ever made. He powers up and goes into his Super 13 form. But that's not what he calls this. He proclaims himself as perfect Android 13, and after transforming, he then one-shots Krillin and Piccolo. He was hoping to defeat them without using his full power, but it's not like it's an issue. He has infinite energy as well. They pulled out all the stops here. Besides the raw strength improvement and more techniques, he could regenerate, he has infinite energy, and he could even absorb Ki Blast. Not that it's going to make him stronger, but it essentially means Ki Blasts are useless against him. He allowed Piccolo and Krillin to hurt him, just to show them what he's capable of. He's about to finish them off, launching a blast at each of them. But just as the blasts launch, Krillin and Piccolo disappear. And it's not like they teleported either, it's like they were there one instant, and they were just gone the next. 13 sensors go off. Kakarot's nearby. And it's not just him. The other 3 Saiyans are there too. Raditz and Nappa are a bit concerned after what happened last time, but they are a lot stronger. Though the fact that Krillin and Piccolo got defeated, that shows he's clearly not the same 13. Plus, Krillin tries to explain what happened, but Kakarot just places a hand on his head, reads his memories, and he gets caught up to speed. Weird, Krillin's never seen him do that, but he has a sense of deja vu. Raditz, Nappa, and Vegeta jump in first to fight him. Vegeta hasn't encountered him before, and he's a little cocky. Raditz and Nappa tell him to be careful though. They know it's not the same Android 13, but that's kind of a bad thing too. The 3 of them all show off their full power in Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, and they fare much better than Krillin and Piccolo, but they still end up losing. It still is at least a good fight. 13 adapts to this too. All the data goes right into the supercomputer, and he grows from it further. But now, Kakarot steps up. He watched the Saiyans fight and didn't interfere to let them have their fun. If they defeated 13, great. That wasn't his problem. But if not, well, that means he's the only one who could do it. And somebody else is nearby too. Showing up completely unnoticed, no one could even sense his ki. It's Tao. And he asks Kakarot if he's ready here. Does he know what he needs to do? And Kakarot thinks he has some ideas. Though he does ask Tao why he's here. Well, Tao's completely transparent. He knew about this project the entire time. What? Yep, this is a nice test for Kakarot. Well, Kakarot thinks it is a little stupid to do that, but as Saiyan Side tells him, this is kind of a fun thing, so he thanks Tao for that. It's nice to have a good teacher that looks out for him. Krillin and Piccolo hear this and think they're both insane, but at least Kakarot's having a good time. The good thing is Kakarot has some tricks up his sleeve that 13 doesn't. Now, unlike Cell, 13 isn't made of the DNA of the other fighters, he just made based off the data from them. So anything he hasn't seen isn't something he could use. When he sees stuff, he can try and adapt to it, but it's not going to be instantaneous and it won't be a perfect replication of it. Given time though, he will fully adapt. Think of this Android 13 like a Maharaga type character. Kakarot's hair starts flowing. He immediately jumps into Ultra Instinct Omen. Since it hasn't really been long after the Tournament of Power, he can't use the completed version of it just yet, but he does know how to access Ultra Instinct at will, even if it is just Omen, and he has grown a lot stronger even in this short period of time. Just getting Ultra Instinct alone really boosted him. And even though they didn't really use it much in the Tournament of Power, it's the same thing with the Saiyans. That tournament acted as a catalyst for them to improve their Super Saiyan Blue, and of course they're now using Evolution, just like as a catalyst for Kakarot getting Ultra Instinct Omen. 13 attacks Kakarot. He dodges. 13 tries to adapt and counter this, but then Kakarot counters that. They just keep countering each other. It's like a game of ping pong. Kakarot counters 13, 13 counters that, Kakarot counters that, and so on. And it is kind of fun for Kakarot to test out Ultra Instinct like this, though he doesn't really feel a sense of fun right now. His emotions are completely gone. He's fully neutral. He's calmed his heart and his mind. He would love to make his emotions work for him, but right now, in Ultra Instinct, he's completely emotionless and mindless. But 13 starts getting faster and faster. No problem for Kakarot. Speed doesn't matter to him. Kakarot then lands an attack on 13. 13 couldn't even process what just happened, because Kakarot's controlling time. Combining his time powers with Ultra Instinct, Kakarot feels like he's unstoppable. His body acts on its own, and with his body acting on instinct, his time powers are part of that too. And his time powers can be used offensively and defensively. He's improved his time control to the point where he could delay other people's moves, or attack before they could even perceive it. 13 is of course powered by an even better supercomputer, processing all this new data in real time. And it's trying to calculate every possible outcome, trying to figure out what Kakarot's doing here. And I feel like at some point it would be able to, it's a supercomputer. And with how crazy tech is in Dragon Ball, a supercomputer in the series must be insane. But when it doesn't even know what's going on right now and Kakarot's not even using his full potential, it is a little bit tough for it to adapt for 13. Kakarot's body starts working overtime. He's improved Hit's own techniques, making them his own, incorporating it into his own style. And Tao watches on very impressed, studying under an assassin from another universe. He wished he thought of that. Though Tao prides himself as the best one here, even better than Kakarot. Sure, Kakarot has more power, but Tao still views himself as more skilled. Though everyone there knows that Kakarot has surpassed him in that regard too. But it's not like Tao can't teach him still. 13 keeps rapidly improving, but so does Kakarot. And suddenly, the fight gets too fast and complex for people to keep up with. With 13 instantly connected to the supercomputer, relaying and receiving data, he can comprehend this, and Kakarot's whole thing is Ultra Instinct plus the time control, but no one else could really tell what's going on here. Though, Kakarot's skill overpowers the supercomputer. 13 attacks at full power, but it's parried in an instant. Kakarot saw ahead and automatically moved. He knew what 13 was going to do before 13 even knew what he was going to do. He's outsmarting a literal supercomputer. 13's computer tries to compensate for this, and it feels like Kakarot's attacking in the past, so logically it jumps at the conclusion that it is what he's doing here. It tries to work on a way for 13 to counter this, but it can't do it in time. Even with this computer, Kakarot's skill is too refined for it to counter. Kakarot's hair then flashes into a silver color as he traps 13 in a time cage, delaying any movement he makes, and more importantly, cutting him off from the supercomputer. Essentially, this disables 13 right away. Kakarot didn't even think that would work. Not only is 13 trapped in time, but any data that he's transmitting is also trapped. And that makes it pretty easy to eliminate him with one final attack, erasing every bit of him, ensuring he doesn't regenerate either. Magenta's back at the headquarters and starts to panic, but then he runs into someone there, General Blue. Suddenly, Magenta can't move. Blue paralyzes him and quickly kills him too. This is his company now. Honestly, he could have done this a long time ago, but he just wanted to see what the company was capable of, and now they have a ton of resources that are all at his disposal, plus Dr. Hedo and his androids. And with the Gammas on his side, they're uncontested. Now, Blue isn't a good guy, but he doesn't really care about world domination anymore. He just cares about getting filthy rich, and by being the CEO of this company, he is. He usurps the power pretty easily, and he lets Hedo stay there too, making a deal with him. The company changes over to Blue Pharmaceuticals. He's mega rich. It worked, and he gives Tao some nice pay and some nice benefits, being head of security there, and now he's employed for life without even having to do anything. Plus, the Gammas are on his side too. The Gammas and Hedo are a bit concerned about Kakarot, and also Tao and Blue, but they seem to not be a threat to Hedo at least. Plus, under Blue, he's going to give Hedo as much funding as he needs to build the androids because he thinks it's kind of fun to do. Now, he doesn't want a whole army of androids, but Hedo's research could make them some more money. They'll have breakthroughs in robotics. Hedo will become world famous too. Anyways, back to the fighters. Kakarot is back on Beerus' planet, working with Ultra Instinct instead of pursuing power with Super Saiyan 4 or Super Saiyan Blue. As a martial artist who is completely neutral, cold, and calculating as an assassin, Ultra Instinct is perfect for him. But it's not just that that's perfect for him. Beerus thinks he's an ideal god of destruction candidate too. It's not just his personality either, it's the fact that he is pretty much the strongest mortal out there. Of course there's probably other threats down the line, but as of now, Kakarot is the top dog, and Beerus wanted him to be his rival anyways. So he offers Kakarot the position, and Kakarot accepts without much thought. It's the highest honor a warrior could get. Beerus had mentioned it before, and he had considered it, thinking that it could be a good fit for him too. But Kakarot says it's under one condition. He needs to keep training under Whis, and he wants to fight Beerus one day. Don't make him a god of destruction until he finally beats Beerus. And Beerus is fine with that. It seems like he's got this down, and it seems like he made the right choice too. Kakarot's new training begins, and he's now Universe 7's official god of destruction candidate. Beerus is elated beyond belief. But what else is out there in the universe? Well, Moro escapes prison. He tries to go to Namek, but he knows there is a strong warrior there, that being Tapion. He actually knows a little bit about Hirudegarn in the past, learning that another magician Hoi was responsible for it, and he also got defeated recently, alongside Goma. Moro needs more power before getting the Dragon Balls, and he senses a somewhat large power out in space. He needs just enough to grow, but not too much where he's going to lose a battle right away. So he needs an opponent that has a little bit of strength, but not too much. And whoever this energy is seems perfect. So Moro heads to this planet first. It should be easy pickings. When he arrives, he sees a planet that's been recently pillaged. There's nothing left. Someone floats above Moro, and Moro quickly turns around, sticking a hand out and absorbing the energy from this person. But the fighter vanishes out of sight. Too quick for Moro to keep track of, and then Moro feels his energy dramatically increase. He gets a closer look. A Saiyan? He absorbs some power and grows a lot from it, but the Saiyan powers up even further. Moro is terrified. This is no normal Saiyan. He knows what this is. He's heard a legend about this. The legendary Super Saiyan. And when Moro gets a good look at this guy's face, he realizes he's screwed. This Saiyan. It's not Super Broly, it's Z Broly. Desperately, Moro tries to absorb more power, but Broly simply overloads him with all this power. It's too late for him. The power intake quickly makes him explode. He can't handle all of that strength at once, but Broly can, and he laughs. Now, where should he go next? Let's rewind a bit, by a few decades actually. Paragus and Broly had long since been banished from planet Vegeta, and not long after that, the planet was destroyed. Paragus had been searching for Vegeta, but of course, he couldn't do anything. At some point, he completely lost control of Broly. He tried his best to contain him, and he tried his best to find Vegeta, potentially killing both of them in the process, but nothing worked. Eventually, Broly did grow too strong, killing Paragus and being completely unrestrained. He has been growing, and he has been rampaging, but he has learned to maintain his power. The issue is, he didn't really want to. But he did remain a little bit more low-key than he should have. He never ended up destroying an entire galaxy. Well, at least not in Universe 7. He grew so strong that he broke boundaries between universes, traveling between them. Universe 7 did get boring after a while too, and Broly discovered this completely on accident. He didn't even know there were other universes, but this is more fun for him. Other universes had mortal levels that got lower because some major threat actually attacked over the past few years. That threat was Broly. The gods of destruction never caught him. It was like a storm. Some powerful warriors showed up on a planet, decimated it, then left. Maybe going to another end of the universe, or going to another universe entirely. It was all so quick. It happened with no warning, and by the time anyone found out about it, Broly was already gone. But eventually he did make his way back to Universe 7. Not purposefully, but it's almost like something drew him back here, like he felt some sort of strong power out there. He doesn't know where it is, or who it was. But being a Saiyan like he is, he did want to fight anyone strong that he could. After encountering Moro, he thought maybe that was the person he sensed, but no, it definitely wasn't him. Encountering him was definitely coincidental. But Broly's power continues to grow. It's getting far too high. People are starting to notice it, and he's not moving around as much as he once was. He's slowly going around causing havoc in Universe 7. We arrive back on Earth. Kakarot is meditating on the lookout. Krillin allows this because he doesn't really mind Kakarot's company up here. It is pretty quiet, so he gets why Kakarot wants to come up here too, but it is kind of weird for him to see this. Remembering how the old Kakarot was, it's so strange to see him being so, well, zen for lack of a better word. And he gets that it's weird for Krillin to see, but this is what his new training is all about, calming his heart and mind. He needs to obtain true neutrality. Complete nothingness will give him complete mastery, but as he's meditating on the lookout, without many distractions, he could sense everybody's powers. The three Saiyans are currently on Beerus' planet right now. Kakarot would be there, but he took a little bit of time away from them. He wanted to see if they can grow in his absence. Down on the surface, he could sense other fighters too. Piccolo, one of the strongest warriors here. Tien, Tao, all the people from his past. But also people out in space. Tapion, Nail, the various powers that are out there. But then, there's something weird. There's a presence that's far-reaching. Kakarot could tell that it's really far away, and because of how focused he is right now, it's normal that he could sense something like this, but something about this power is more intense than the others. He locks onto it. The power feels almost bottomless. And there's malice within it, but not the type you'd feel with Frieza or someone like that. It's like he just feels pure chaos. Krillin notices him straining as Kakarot tries to sense the bottom of this power, but there's just no end to it. Kakarot opens his eyes. There's something weird out there. He wants to see what it is. Krillin tries to sense it too, and it takes some focus, but he can feel the same power. And it sort of terrifies him. He asks Kakarot what it is, and he's not sure. But curiosity is getting the best of him. Krillin can see a bead of sweat forming on his forehead, but he has a smile on his face too. Like he's anticipating a challenge, but he's also a little bit nervous about it. It's strange, he hasn't seen Kakarot nervous in a while. He always felt so invincible, but now, there might actually be someone out there to challenge him again. Krillin urges him to not go fight someone randomly, especially if it's some sort of big threat. But he does remind Krillin that he will be God of Destruction one day. He should be privy to any threats, and he should be able to defeat them. Kakarot's goal is to be the strongest, and if someone out there truly is stronger than him, he needs to see who that is. Well, Krillin knows he's not going to stop him, and he just tells Kakarot to be careful. But Krillin is genuinely concerned about that threat out there. But also, it's more than that. The two of them have known each other for so long by now that, even though Kakarot doesn't seem like the friendly type, Krillin is probably the closest thing to a friend that he has. In another life, these two would have been the best of friends. Neither of them realized that. But even with how differently things went for both of them in the story, still, their paths cross, and a friendship did form. A testament to their bond. Kakarot tries out something new too. Another reason he isn't on Beerus' planet is because he's trying to pick up on as many techniques as possible. He saw some guy in the Tournament of Power teleporting around a bunch, and he learned that guy was from a planet called Yardrat, which exists here in Universe 7. He swung by there mainly because he wanted to learn how to teleport. So, he now knows how to do that. Kakarot places 2 fingers on his forehead, using instant transmission to go into the unknown. It's the first time he's really teleported far with it. He was mainly using it for combat purposes. With his fighting style, being able to teleport on a whim is really helpful, but it's also great for transport, especially going between Beerus' planet and Earth. But he finds himself on a strange, desolate planet. It's quiet. Too quiet. There's just nothing around. His eyes scan around, and then they lock onto something. There's a man standing on the edge of a crater, looking at an abyss, and it's almost like he feels Kakarot's presence. He turns around slowly. Kakarot feels a chill down his spine. That's no man he's looking at. It's a monster. He appears to be some sort of Saiyan, but Kakarot's taken aback. This guy is twice his size. His hair is green. His eyes are completely soulless. It's a feeling Kakarot can't really process, and then he realizes what it is. He feels intimidated. He hasn't felt intimidation in so long, but here, he does. And as the two lock eyes, a twisted look appears on the Saiyan's face. He recognizes Kakarot. That hairstyle, there's no doubt about it. The other Saiyan that was next to him, a symbol of his past, reminding him of the day that King Vegeta banished him and the Saiyans abandoned him too. He just says the word Kakarot. Kakarot wonders how he knows his name. Maybe Krillin was right. He didn't expect to meet a maniac who immediately wants to fight him, much less someone who actually knows who he is. But Broly walks closer to Kakarot, and as he gets closer and closer, his movements speed up, suddenly sprinting towards Kakarot. Quickly, Kakarot jumps into Super Saiyan Blue, but has not enough power. He's hit by a punch, so fast and so powerful that it catches him off guard. It's meant to drive him into the ground, but it just punches him straight through the planet, setting him to the other side of it. Kakarot floats there a bit confused, realizing what just happened, and as he looks down in the hole that was just made, he sees lava flying out of it, followed by Broly. He thinks Broly is about to attack him again, but before he does, he places his hands out, briefly binding Broly there. He asks him who he is. Is he actually a Saiyan? And Broly struggles to break free but then smiles. No, he's no Saiyan. He's a monster. His ki then flares up even further, breaking through Kakarot's bind. Looks like Super Saiyan Blue's not going to be enough. Kakarot powers up into Ultra Instinct. And now the real battle begins. Kakarot doesn't know what he got himself into, but while being nervous, he is excited. This guy is some sort of mutant Saiyan or something. He has no clue what that power is, but it's definitely something he's never seen before. Actually, now that he thinks about it, in the Tournament of Power, there was one other Saiyan with bulking muscles and green hair. He didn't know what that form was either. But whoever this guy is, he's the epitome of pure strength. And Kakarot likes that. He may actually be stronger than Kakarot, but Kakarot has better techniques to back himself up. Finally, someone who could put all of his powers to the test. No words are exchanged. This is just an all-out deathmatch. It's invigorating for both of the Saiyans. Kakarot has no idea why this guy wants to kill him right away, but whatever, that makes it more fun. Utilizing Ultra Instinct and Instant Transmission together, Kakarot starts teleporting around, and Broly starts speeding up too. As the fight continues on, Kakarot could feel his power increasing more and more, and he responds accordingly. He's now completed Ultra Instinct, but hasn't fully mastered it to the level of someone like Whis, for example. Broly is an unstoppable force here, and it's not like Kakarot's an immovable object, more like an untouchable object. So I guess this is an unrelenting force versus an untouchable object. Broly continues fighting and growing. Kakarot continues fighting and growing, dodging every attack as Broly speeds up more and more. Broly then ascends into the sky, surrounded by a green ball of ki that explodes out, creating a sphere that engulfs the entire planet. He'd like to see Kakarot dodge this. First, it shoots out a bunch of small ki blasts, which Kakarot does dodge, but that green sphere around Broly keeps growing and growing, covering the entire area. Kakarot has no choice. He can't dodge it, so he has to go through it. He plants his feet into the ground and then launches upwards, punching right through Broly's attack. Injured by it, but also being able to injure Broly in the process too, hitting him head on with a punch as Broly smirks. He then grabs Kakarot, but Kakarot dodges, and Broly then feels sluggish, caught in a time cage. Kakarot has been using his time manipulation in this fight, but now he's using it without anything held back. It seems like Broly can handle it. And yeah, he can handle it. He actually completely breaks through it, which amazes Kakarot, to think this guy has enough raw power to break through that time skip and such. And that bottomless power keeps expanding. Broly gets the edge in the battle. And even though Kakarot keeps speeding up too, Broly's outpacing him. But the fact that Kakarot keeps dodging all of his attacks annoys him. So, he starts using attacks like the one before, engulfing the entire area, things Kakarot can't dodge. He could blow up the planet, but that would be no fun. And this time when Kakarot tries to fight through it, Broly then launches towards him, spiking his power at the very last moment, barely being able to grab Kakarot by his face, driving him into the ground. Then Broly jumps up in the air, stomping on Kakarot repeatedly, actually being able to injure him now. Broly gets ready to pounce on him one more time, but then he stops midair. Kakarot uses all of his focus to hold him in place, in one point of time. No problem for Broly. He tries expanding his power to break free and using one of those same attacks again, but Kakarot has a counter for it. Something he hasn't really used in a while, but something that's really helpful here. The attack expands out, and Kakarot simply puts his hands out, and Broly sees two gems on his hands. As Broly begins unleashing his attack, Kakarot absorbs it. All the power Broly pushes out gets absorbed into him, and Kakarot's not even sure if he could absorb all of this at once, but he's able to do it. And Broly's not scared by this. It's just like that goat guy that he killed. He simply unleashes more power, but unlike Moro, Kakarot can handle this. There's so much power being sent into him. At first it feels like too much at once, but his body's acclimating to it. He can handle it. He absorbs all of Broly's power, and then reverses it back on him. Kakarot's Ultra Instinct now has a green aura on the outside of it, and then he disappears. To an outside observer, it would seem like in the next moment, Broly just exploded into nothingness, out of nowhere. Quite literally from one instant to the next, he was gone. But really what happened is Kakarot summoned all of his power, all the power he absorbed from Broly, and combined all of that into one attack, trapping Broly in a time cage. While it looked like no time passed and nothing happened, it's different. From Kakarot's point of view, Broly was caught in a time stasis, then assaulted with millions of attacks at once, his own energy being turned against him too. Kakarot kinda hates to have to use this. He always feels like stealing energy from others was kind of a cheat code for him. But he had no choice, and with his body acting on instinct, that is what it thought was the next best choice. And for good measure, he finished it off with a Hakai. Kakarot then lands back on the ground. It feels like he's just been fighting for a month straight. But really, no time passed at all. Broly just vanished out of existence. No fanfare or nothing. One moment he was there, the next he wasn't. Kakarot is worn out, bloodied, and beaten, but he smiles. He never got that guy's name, and he doesn't know who he was, or what he was. But that might have been the best fight he's gotten in his entire life, and he's glad he got to meet someone just as amazing as that. Kakarot goes to Beerus' planet, and he lets the other Saiyans know about this. Vegeta is a bit surprised to hear this, and he assumes that was the true legendary Super Saiyan. First of all, he didn't know another Saiyan was out there, besides his brother, but second, one being that strong, to even give Kakarot trouble. And still, Kakarot won against a legendary Super Saiyan. It seems like he truly is the strongest mortal out there. And as the fight was happening, Whis and Beerus watched through Whis' staff. Beerus was incredibly impressed. Some more months pass. After that display, Beerus of course wants to test Kakarot's power for himself. The two engage in a battle. He's grown significantly, not just since he first met Beerus, but since Beerus appointed him as a candidate for God of Destruction, and since the fight with Broly. Kakarot still has a long way to go. At least that's what he thinks. But Beerus is happy with what he's seeing. He's growing too. He has been training, aiming to grow as strong as he can, just to make it harder for Kakarot to surpass him. And of course, the other Saiyans are watching too. They realize that they're just too far behind Kakarot. Is it because he's an android? No. That stopped mattering a while ago. It's just who he is. As a Saiyan child, he probably should have destroyed Earth, especially with the Red Ribbon Army. But he narrowly avoided death, becoming something different. When he got turned into an android by Jiro, it was more like a rebirth for him. He became a far more refined warrior, a far stronger warrior, a far better warrior. And now, he's the strongest mortal. He's the greatest assassin. And, over everything, he's now going to be Universe 7's next God of Destruction. He's back on Earth. Krillin asks him how he feels about it. Well, for one, he laughs. He's Krillin's superior now. The one area where he could never beat Krillin was his official title as a god. But those jokes aside, he's happy about it. Although, he is a little bit disappointed. He wanted to become the strongest person in the universe, and he did. Sure, there are still people above him, the Angels, Zeno, but in terms of where he can move naturally, this was the end goal. There's nothing really beyond this. He still wants to continue growing, but he doesn't know what his next goal should be. And Krillin tells him to not think like that. Sure, he's achieved the highest title in the universe, and he is the strongest mortal out there, but that doesn't mean he can't keep growing. Who knows, maybe there is some other threat out there that no one can stop besides him. But also, Kakarot can't forget. All the other people around him, maybe they can catch up one day too. And that is true. He tells Krillin that's going to apply to him too. He expects great things out of him. Especially as his superior now, he wants Krillin to be the best god he can. Right. He's confused why Kakarot's acting bossy, but then he realizes he's just joking. He's being unserious. It's a rare occasion where they're talking like friends, bantering. Kakarot may have godly power, beyond comprehension, but along the way, he was becoming more human. And with that, we end off our story here. What did you guys think about this story? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel and shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting this scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.